beautiful Boiling Springs, South Carolina. I say beautiful because it is where I reside, and we are live at Ingles on this Wednesday, so appreciate all of you joining the show. We're live at 2120 Boiling Springs Road, otherwise known as Highway 9. It's the very first Ingles you come to when you get off of I-85, so good to be with you today. Diesel and I on location, but why did I say BAM to start the show today, Diesel? Bam Adebayo. I don't know if anybody saw this coming last night, but what he did was give us a chance to look back at the best individual sports performances in the history of sports. Well, what did he do last night, Diesel? Just a whopping 83 points on Tuesday for the Miami Heat, which ranks second in NBA history. We react to that, and then we get into, Diesel, where does that stack up among the greatest individual achievements in sports history? Well, bam.
It should be looked at as this incredible feat. It's amazing that he put up 83 points. He should be celebrated for it. We should be talking about it for the next 25 years, Cole. But of all the conversation that I've seen about this so far today and other sports shows that I've listened to already today, they're just bagging on this 83-point performance. Like, it's got an asterisk next to it. It's not really all that impressive. Kobe's performance in 06 was way better anyway.
Yeah, it may have been, but let's that's an interesting aspect of it. I'm sure our Tolos Diesel will have something to say on that at 844-326-3663, because there is a lot of talking points. There is a lot of conversation anchored around what you just said there, and you're right. That is kind of how the other sports shows are anchoring their coverage today and reacting to what happened. But we're going to take it, at least in this very first segment, in a little bit different of a direction, because the fact of the matter is 83 points is 83 points, right? Yeah. You can argue whether it's good or bad or impressive or not impressive a little bit later. But I will say this, Diesel, 83 points, I think, does deserve to go somewhere on the Mount Rushmore of individual sports performances. Mm-hmm. And I want to know from you and the Tolos, 844-326-3663. The Joy Law Firm text line is open. We're also streaming live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. 28 Tolos watching the show already there. I want to know where this stacks up. If you have to bring up the old Mount Rushmore like we always do, right? That's what we go to in sports. Let's address this first. What happened last night? Does it go on your Mount Rushmore of greatest individual sports feats? Because you only can get 4 unless your Mount Rushmore looks like 5 or 6 presidential heads, right? That's the question we have to answer first. Does he go on the Mount Rushmore? 83 points last night for the Miami Heat.
Top 4 of all time? That is an enormous question. Yeah. And there are certainly, everybody's going to have their own opinions, right? Things that mean more to them than they do to other people. Like I said, I think this one is absolutely incredible. Obviously, it's second all time in the NBA behind Wilt Chamberlain at 100 points. Mm-hmm. Don't know that anybody's ever going to beat that unless the other team just rolls over and lets him score so that somebody could beat it. And then I'm thinking Tigers performances, maybe, around here, people would probably say Dale Sr. finally winning the 500. But come on, he was in the 500 how many times, and he only won it once? I don't know that you really count that one. No, a lot of people would feel a certain way about it.
So let's answer that question by throwing out some options. And Tolos, we would love to hear what your options are when it comes to the greatest individual sports performances. If you just tuned into the show, you just flipped on the radio, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 97.7 Greenville, 101.5 Anderson on the Odyssey or iHeart app. If you just tuned us on, last night, 83 points from Bam Adebayo for the Miami Heat. Where does that rank among the all-time great individual performances? Does it rank? Right, we have to address that first. Right. Is it on the Mount Rushmore, Diesel? So I ask you that question. But let's go through some of these. And Tolos, if Diesel and I miss any, please feel free to suggest one on the Joy Law Firm text line. Again, 844-326-3663. Let's start with the Michael Jordan flu game, which we learned in The Last Dance was really a bad pizza game, not the flu game, right? Because that's what the guy said.
I don't know, man. I've eaten a lot of pizzas in my day. I can't tell you that I've ever had a bad pizza. Even bad pizza is good pizza.
Pizza hadn't given you flu-like symptoms?
Never, not once.
Well, evidently, that's the big debate, right? So, Michael Jordan flu game, let's throw that one out there. 38 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds.
38's a lot less than 83, right?
Let me check. 38, yes, it is. I did verify. It is a lot less. But it's like, to old heads, it means something. It's that flu game.
They actually played defense back then. They don't play defense anymore.
And they didn't play defense last night on Bam Adebayo. And we'll get into that. So, Michael's flu game, do you throw that one out there? Do you throw Tom Brady Diesel being down 28-3 in the Super Bowl and then throwing for 466 yards in the entirety of the game? Do you throw that one out there? He had two touchdowns that night. Wilt Chamberlain right now is the leader in terms of the NBA. His 100-point game in 1962, when you talk about defense, I don't know if they were even breathing on the court in 1962. He also had 25 rebounds that night, which is unbelievable. Kobe Bryant, 81 points, right? And again, the defense, they let Kobe score that night too. Tiger Woods, 2000. He won the U.S. Open, and this one's up there for me. This was where it gets hard. He won the U.S. Open in 2000 by 15 strokes. That's all you can do is laugh.
Yeah.
Because that's laughable. 15 strokes.
And I've seen so many clips, and I don't know how many of them might have been in this 2000 U.S. Open, so many clips of Tiger Woods just hitting unbelievable shots where the play-by-play is like, there's no way he's getting out of this. He's in the rough. He's got to go around a tree limb or under a tree limb, and then he's got a bunker in front and water behind, and somehow he lands it, 2 feet from the hole, and it rolls within 6 inches for an eagle putt. It's like, how did that guy do it? He just had some magic in him at that time.
And what's fun about that Tiger conversation is, a lot of people who are listening to the show who are golf fans would probably argue, well, I could come up with a better moment for Tiger from his 2000 U.S. Open, right?
Yeah.
I could probably come up with a better Tiger, in which you could. That just shows how great Tiger Woods was. But what he did in 2000 by winning the U.S. Open was 15 strokes. That's just, to me, that's on my Mount Rushmore. That is on mine.
If only Tiger could have tried a little bit harder and won it by 18 strokes, we would say that he lapped the field, right? Like he was a whole round better than everybody else over that weekend.
Right.
Unbelievable.
So again, if we're just shooting off the cup here and we're looking at Mount Rushmore's greatest sports individual moments, for me, the 2000 U.S. Open, until Atolo tells me otherwise and gives me another. Tiger Woods winning by 15 strokes, to me, is going up there. Like, that's cemented on the Mount.
Is that better than Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game?
I think it is. It is. Oh. And again, basketball players, don't take offense to this. Basketball is a tough game, but Diesel, Wilt Chamberlain, he was just flat better than everybody he was playing against.
It's something we'll never know because there's no video footage of that game. We won't know. Like, was it Wilt playing against a high school team? Like, truthfully, is that where the NBA was?
Right. We don't know.
Is that where they were playing? A bunch of dudes that looked like Babe Ruth but didn't play like Babe Ruth. Wilt Chamberlain was a freak of nature at the time. He was just absolutely incredible. 15 better than the field, though, in modern golf when everybody was playing with the same equipment.
Wasn't he playing against Phil Mickelson in 2000?
Yes, he was.
So no, to answer your question, and that might sound crazy. Somebody might be wrecking their car right now. 100-point game, to me, is not going above Tiger's 15-stroke win.
I didn't realize we had such hardcore Wilt Chamberlain stands in the audience, but we'll take them.
Those old people, man. They're like, oh, no, Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. He's playing against those white dudes that couldn't defend for, So it's a good question. Now, on the stream, a lot of people getting in on the stream on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. 56 watching the show right now. Dewey says for his greatest sports moment, he goes Acuna hitting a grand slam in the playoffs. And that was the year before, Dewey. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was the year before we won it all, right? I think 2020. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
So
that's a great moment. But
it's a good moment. That's not even close.
It doesn't make the top. It doesn't make the top 5 or 10.
Probably doesn't even make the top 30. In a year they didn't win the title, just hitting a grand slam in the playoffs. I mean, it's exciting.
Awesome for
it's great.
It's awesome for Braves fans, right? It's not something that we globally and nationally remember. JB on YouTube says the NFL playoff game, Emmitt Smith went off playing with a dislocated shoulder. And look, I get it. That's pretty remarkable, a dislocated shoulder. And I don't remember that. And that's probably a lot of the reason I don't have that at my top 4. But, JB, I'm sure there are a lot of people that would agree with you. He also says, Diesel, the 2005 Vince Young National Championship game performance against Southern Cal. I need to get what his stats were because that was a great game, and that was one of my all-time favorite national championships maybe ever, Texas and USC. But was Vince's performance by himself enough? We'll see.
Probably not. You could look at Roger Clemens striking out 20 in a 9-inning game. He only faced 27, by the way.
Yeah,
he struck out 20 in a game in 1986. Just absolutely unstoppable.
That's pretty good, by the way.
I mean, you can't look at like Michael Phelps in the Olympics because obviously that's a whole Olympics game spread out, a lot of different events. Still deserves a tremendous amount of credit for what he did. How about Gale Sayers going for 6 touchdowns and 336 in a single football game? Even Al Bundy can't say that he did that because Al Bundy only got 4.
So Vince Young in that 41-38 national championship win, Diesel, when Texas won it all, 13-0, by the way, that year. Vince was 30 of 40, which is pretty good. 267. But listen to this. And I didn't remember this until I just read the box score. 0 passing touchdowns that night.
Wow.
0.
All on the ground.
All on the ground. 3 on the ground Vince Young had that night, which is impressive, remarkable.
Yeah.
It just shows how good he was. And by the way, let me not forget to say, he ran that night for 200 yards. That's pretty remarkable for a quarterback. Running backs don't even run that now, right?
It's true, yeah.
So that's very remarkable. I just don't know that it, as remarkable as that game was, I don't know that Vince goes on the Mount Rushmore in terms of all-time great individual performances.
No, that's not a top 4 all-time. Now, when you want to compare, you can't compare what Bam Adebayo did to Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points. You can't really do that. I pulled some stats here for you just in case you were curious. March 2nd, 1962, Wilt Chamberlain went 36 for 63 from the field. Took 63 shots in that game. Might have been the only one touching the ball. He hit 28 of 32 free throws and had 25 rebounds in the game. You can't compare what Bam did because that's just. But when you want to compare what Bam did to Kobe, and all the conversation I've seen around this is that Kobe's performance was far and away better than Bam Adebayo's performance because the Wizards' defense stinks, and the Wizards' defense does stink. 3rd from last in the NBA this year. Let's not forget that when Kobe went off for 81 points in January of 2006, it was against the Raptors, and they had a bottom 5 defense in the NBA that year as well.
That was Kobe's game?
Yes. It's not like Kobe was out there playing against, the Steelers, the Steel Curtain, okay? He was playing a bunch of nobodies as well. The thing is, we just don't think about it like that. We don't remember that Kobe was playing against a sorry-ass defense. But Kobe was on one. He had 28 jumpers, 7 threes, 18 free throws. And here's what's incredible about that stat. He had 55 points in the second half.
Yeah.
Second half, an unbelievable night for Kobe. Now, the comparison for Bam only hit 20 shots from the field. Took 43, by the way. So Kobe hit 8 more field goals than he did. Bam hit 7 three-pointers. Great job, Ben. He also took 22 of them. He was not good from 3. He hit 36 of 43 free throws. What were the Wizards doing? If Bam Adebayo hits 36 free throws against you, maybe you should stop fouling him because he's hitting his free throws. That 43, by the way, sets a new NBA record for the most number of free throws attempted by a single player in a game.
And I'll be honest with you, man, and we'll get into this more at 6 o'clock, but I watched those highlights this morning from that game, and a lot of those fouls, like I was watching, this is just my instant reaction. I was watching those highlights, and I thought, yeah, that wasn't a foul. Like one of the defenders went straight up, and they called a foul, and again, it's ticky tacky, right? You talk about the number of free throws, and I'll throw one at you. Is hitting that many free throws, which by the way is the easiest shot to hit, is that really that impressive? And again, I know a lot of people say, well, you got to hit,
got to hit them.
You got to hit them. I get that. All right, here's footage from 1962 for those watching on the stream. And Diesel, you can see this as well.
It's 83% for Bam, by the way.
That's pretty good.
83%.
The athleticism in 1962, going back to Wilt's game.
Oh, I didn't think video of this existed.
Yeah. So 1962, this is what kind of athleticism we're talking about. No disrespect to these guys. But we all know the level of athleticism today compared to 1962, it's light years. Like comparing Russell Westbrook's athleticism to these guys, it's just light years. So you're watching this. If you're watching the stream right now, 70 of you are, you can see the level of athleticism, the level of defense, and this is old footage. Blake on the stream's like, wait, this is real footage? It's online, so it must be real. Like, it doesn't look like AI, Diesel does.
No.
It'd be good AI. But I just don't know. Like, and that's the question. How impressive was a 100-point game? Is impressive. I'm not saying it's not. But you tell me, Tolos. Yeah. You tell me, when you watch this, are you blown away by defense and athleticism?
You could also say here, Cole, you got to think of things in relative terms to the time. Wilt Chamberlain was a far and away better athlete than any of these other guys on the court.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the same nutrition, workout schedule, perfect medical attention the way athletes have today. Right. He didn't have all that kind of stuff.
Cryo.
These guys were drinking Dr. Pepper at halftime because they needed a little caffeine bump,
Yeah.
That's how they were doing things. So,
and I think the Coke back then had cocaine in it, right?
Yeah. Relative to the time, it is incredibly impressive, and I think we should always
Sure.
look at it.
I agree with that.
For relative to the time. And it's like saying that a linebacker today would absolutely obliterate a running back from the 1950s. Well, of course he would, because that running back didn't have any of the same athletic equipment and nutrition and training and all these things.
Jeremy on the YouTube stream says Bam had 43 free throws, laughing emoji. Was that right? 43?
That is true.
So 40. Over 50% of his points. How many? He had 83.
He had 83.
So over 50% of his points.
He had he attempted 43 free throws. He hit 36 of them.
Okay, he hit 36. So a little bit less. Okay. Still impressive. I'm not diminishing it.
Also consider the fact that Wilt Chamberlain did what he did in an era without 3-point ball.
That's true.
So I don't know if Wilt would have been a good distance shooter, but as talented as he was, I'm sure he would have hit a few, right?
Scott on Facebook says they were getting a bump at halftime, but it wasn't caffeine. Might not have been back in 1960. What year was this? 1962. And again, look at these highlights, man. Like the scoreboard. Did you see that scoreboard? The video there of the scoreboard is like these old big bulbs that are. I mean, it's incredible.
Everyone's its own individual full-size light bulb.
Here you go. It is it's remarkable. It is, again, a 100-point game, taking nothing away. But the answer to our question, where does that 83 stack up? I think it's up there. I think it's probably top 5 all time, maybe top 6, 7-ish. I just don't know. Like, is it more incredible than Tiger's 15-stroke win? To me, no. Is it more incredible than Jack Hughes winning the gold medal in the Olympics after being in the penalty box, coming back, hitting the neck?
Yeah.
You think it is more impressive
than that?
Yeah, because that's just one shot, right?
Right, it's just one shot.
Yeah.
It's just him doing what he does.
I know. I'm torn.
I want, because I know we live in a very, cynical, dismissive world nowadays. People are blowing this 83-point performance off like, it was easy. It was nothing. They were just letting them score. We got to stop doing that, man. I know we as Americans, we are exceptionalists. We want to celebrate and appreciate exceptional performances. And this was one of them. Comparison is a thief of joy. You try to rank it somewhere, people get mad, and all of a sudden we're having a completely different conversation. But let's appreciate the fact that we just saw an 83-point outburst and say, you know what, that was absolutely incredible. We need to celebrate it instead of wanting to poo-poo on it all the time.
It is incredible. It is. 83 points. It's one of those things, like a buddy of mine told me last night, and I didn't see it live. I think I was doing some work or something, and my buddy called me. He said, did you see how many points Bam Adebayo scored? I said, no. He said, well, guess. I said, I don't know. 50? No. 60? No. 7? No. 83? Oh, okay. No, I didn't see. So, yeah, it's one of those moments in sports, Diesel, where we don't have many moments where you kind of like stop and wait, what?
Yeah.
You know, one of those kind of moments. So, yes, it is incredible. We'll get into it 6 o'clock how incredible it is.
Well, and as per usual, Cole, most people couldn't watch it because it was buried behind a paywall.
You had to have what, League Pass, right?
You had to have League Pass, and they didn't even go to it on League Pass until late. Like, they realized that this incredible feat was in progress. They were talking about it from the NBA League Pass studios. You had people watching the game and then describing what they're seeing on a live broadcast without actually just putting the game on the live broadcast. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I complain about this all the time. NFL does an amazing job putting most of its content. Now, they're getting worse at this, but most of their content is available over linear, over-the-air television outlets. But you got the NBA, MLB, MLS, NBA. They just want to bury everything behind paywalls and make you fork over cash to be able to watch things. And then when an incredible moment like this happens, most people don't get to see it.
And I would argue that 80% of sports fans watched it like I did this morning on Get Up.
Right.
You know what I mean? On the highlights, because we didn't watch it live. Maybe more than 80%.
It's, TV contracts and broadcast rights and paywalls. They're ruining the fan experience in seek of the almighty dollar. It's just
money, baby. The money, 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 money.
We are inside the Corner Cafe at Ingles, 2120 Boiling Springs Road, a.k.a. Highway 9. Want to see you out here because I believe we have Ingles gift cards to give away. Sweet. Come on by and see us. Say what's up. Coming up next, Cole, on the other side of the break, the Ravens backed out on Max Crosby. Everybody is dunking on the Ravens, calling them disingenuous, cheaters, whatever you want to call it. I think they were absolutely brilliant to do what they did, and I'll tell you why coming up next.
Okay. Remember the MTC Federal coming up in 6 seconds. 5, 4.
Upstate.
Before I get into this, Cole, I want to tell John, our producer back in the studio, do not feel the need to put your finger on the dump button. The word that I'm about to say sounds bad to say on the radio, but it's not actually bad to say on the radio. Cole, have you ever heard of the concept of dickering?
Maybe once.
You know what that is?
Now twice.
Dickering.
Dickering.
Yeah.
It sounds like something to do at Christmas time when you go knock on people's doors and
That's caroling.
oh, caroling. No,
That's
no,
caroling.
Nope.
Dickering is when you engage in petty arguments or bargaining. It means to treat someone casually or irresponsibly or to toy with someone. That is how the entire sports world is coming down on the Baltimore Ravens this morning, because it was announced late last night, early this morning as well, that the Ravens backed out of the deal that would bring Max Crosby to Baltimore for 2 first-round picks going to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Crazy.
That was the move. The world of football lost its mind, Cole, but I'm going to tell you right now that it was actually brilliant.
Huh?
The way this whole thing went down, and yeah, sure, it might be a little bit dirty pool here, but I think, Cole, as you know, we talked about this yesterday, that as the defensive end and pass rusher, edge rusher market was playing itself out and nobody was calling and giving Trey Hendrickson what he wanted, I think the Ravens said, the ink isn't dry on this deal. As a matter of fact, it's not official until 4:00 today.
Mm-hmm.
We could maybe get Trey Hendrickson for a little cheaper than what he actually wanted, because the market on him was not as strong as he wanted it to be. And I really think we'd rather have Trey Hendrickson, who's healthy, even though he's a couple years older. We'd rather have him than coming off of a torn meniscus tear, Max Crosby. And I think it was a brilliant move. They got to hang on to their picks as well.
Did Baltimore pay you to say that?
No, not one bit.
Are you on their payroll?
No, I'd take their money. I mean, I'll do just about anything.
I mean, what kind of conspiracy are you running over there? So, look, both are good players. As an owner, GM, coach, I'd take either one. But I want Max Crosby. Max Crosby is blockbuster. Max Crosby moves the meter, moves the needle, if you will.
It's also got a hole in his leg right now.
But it's going to heal. They have medicine. They have ibuprofen. We all get sick. Now, since you're going to go Mr. Conspiracy on me, I'll do one even better on you.
Okay.
You know who's in the Baltimore Ravens division? That would be a quarterback named Joe Burrow for the Cincinnati Bengals. And the reason, Diesel, for this, when Max Crosby has now been vetoed, been kicked right back to the curb, is because he failed his physical, right?
Sure. Yep.
Now, did you see who the doctor was that performed the physical? Have you seen this?
No, I did not.
If you were watching the stream, here's the doctor that performed the physical on Max Crosby. What are you laughing? This is the doctor. This is him. You see the medical equipment around his neck?
Totally. Very realistic.
What are you laughing about?
Yeah, very
That
realistic.
is Joe Burrow was the doctor. He didn't want that guy in his division. Are you kidding me? By the way,
you're saying fear.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's fear
Yeah,
is the reason.
Yeah, he dressed up as a doctor.
Come on.
That picture, that's real. I mean, you think ChatGPT made that? Well, it actually did. But that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Joe Burrow was the reason. Since we're going conspiracy here, so here's the deal. Failing the physical.
Yep.
There are a million different ways to look at this. Failing a physical is pretty objective. It's not like, hey, you either have a leg or don't have a leg.
Right.
There is
that objective means you either do or don't.
Okay, I'm sorry. It
subjective.
Is subjective.
Yes.
Thank you. It is more subjective than it is objective, Diesel, because it's like I said, you either do or don't. It's more subjective depending on who the doctor is.
Mm-hmm.
He could very well go to Dallas tomorrow and pass a physical by the Dallas. You don't know.
Well, it's because Dallas takes lesser players.
Well, I think the fact that it is more subjective, Diesel, the fact that a physical, think about that for a minute. And I don't think that's being talked about enough today. That these physicals, the fact that they're more subjective than objective, that's a little strange to me in the NFL. Shouldn't there be a protocol where you check, or X, on a physical.
It's hard because every doctor has a different opinion. It's not as if one league doctor with one opinion and one way of looking at things can overlook every single player, right? My mother-in-law was in the hospital sick because a doctor gave her the wrong potassium medication.
Sure.
And her potassium plummeted. And the next doctor's like, that doctor's an idiot. What are they doing? You should be taking this potassium pill instead. This will be better for you. If you're trying to sell me that the Ravens team doctor maybe fudged a little bit and put an X next to the condition of his knee on the form rather than a check because maybe the Ravens organization decided, 2 first-round picks for that guy. I think we might have overextended a little bit. You could convince me that that's plausible, sure, but it all depends on what their team doctor says, and the coaches listen to that team doctor, and the ownership listens to that team doctor, and the GM listens to that team doctor. They trust his opinion, so and his opinion said Max Crosby's knee is not what we were sold. It's not the bill of goods that we expected.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I guess where I have a problem, Diesel, is why you signed him on Friday, right? Or you agreed to this on Friday. Like you said, nothing's official today until 4 p.m. But I want to know why. I want to know what happened in the process this morning or last night during that physical, when the physical took place, Diesel, of why he didn't pass this thing. Why on Friday were you okay with bringing this guy into Baltimore, but just 2 days later, 3 days later, you're not okay with it? That's where and again, I'm not trying to say like conspiracy this, but it doesn't make sense to me. You knew the guy, Diesel. You knew the guy just had surgery.
Yeah.
Just 8 weeks ago? You knew he just got off crutches last week. So you knew this. And I'm not saying it's Baltimore's fault. We'll never know like the details of the physical.
Yeah.
I don't understand it of what changed from Friday to Tuesday.
Maybe it's possible that the Ravens team doctor felt that the Raiders team doctor kind of fudged a little bit, over-exaggerated just how fast Max Crosby was recovering from his injury. We don't know. There are unknowables here. Now, what we do know is that Trey Hendrickson signed with the Ravens on a 4-year, $112 million deal. That's $28 million per year average. Max Crosby made $32.5 million last year. We don't know what the deal would have been if Max Crosby had signed with the Ravens. Maybe they said to themselves, you know what, we could save $4 or $5 million a year by signing Trey Hendrickson over Max Crosby. We get a guy, again, that's a couple of years older, but he's not injured.
But you know what's crazy? Did you see the report this morning where Crosby's doctor, not the Raiders doctor, not the Ravens doctor, not the Cowboys doctor, Crosby's doctor asked for the physical to be pushed back. He felt like, and again, I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to school for 5 years, but I'm not a doctor. I want to know why they had to give the physical yesterday, Tuesday evening, right? Tuesday afternoons when he had the physical. Max Crosby was in Baltimore. He was putting stories up on his Instagram of the stadium. He asked for the physical to be pushed back. So I'm assuming, Diesel, that when you have meniscus repair and you're on crutches for 8 weeks, 8 weeks he was on crutches. Yeah. The surgery was 8 weeks ago. I would like to know the conversation between his doctor and Baltimore as to why they wouldn't push that back. What was the reason for that?
So Max's doctor wanted to push it back. That to me tells me that Max was not recovering at the rate that they wanted him to.
And maybe
they wanted to get this physical as close to today at 4 p.m. as possible so that the Ravens wouldn't have time to back out of the deal.
But it wouldn't have been any different today than it was yesterday, right?
Well, we don't know. Trey Hendrickson could have been off the table. That's
maybe so.
The physical could be different, but the conditions around the league and other defensive end edge rushers availability could be different. And then the Ravens might have had no choice and say, you know what, we can't go get Trey Hendrickson now because what if Dallas had signed him? Now we have no options.
You're saying Trey being out there influenced. Yeah. No, I get that.
I mean, they still would have got an incredible player. Let's be real about this. Max Crosby will recover and he will be a good player again. I don't have any qualms saying that whatsoever. But with the fact that again, the Ravens team doctors maybe felt like Max Crosby's knee wasn't exactly where Raiders and Max Crosby's doctors said it was, Maybe they said, okay, you know what, this isn't right. I mean, like, how many times, Cole, have you ever gone to, you met somebody on Facebook Marketplace, you go to buy something, and then when you get there, it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be, or the photos misrepresented what the item was, and you backed out of the deal saying, I don't know, man, I don't like this at all.
Well, I think I liked Adam Schefter's example this morning on Get Up Diesel when he gave the example of if you and your wife or one of the Tolos out there, if you go buy a home, right, when you enter into escrow, right, you have how many weeks is escrow? I don't know off the top of my head. Is it 10 days, that escrow period, right?
Yeah.
Where you're allowed to, you have to have the inspections. Well, if they do a roof inspection in that escrow period on a house, Diesel, that you're about to purchase, you've agreed to it. But guess what? The roof could pass inspection on the house, but you climb up on the roof, and you don't like the way that roof looks, even though it passed inspection, guess what you can do? You can back out of the agreement. You don't have to buy the house because you're still in that escrow period. So it's kind of similar.
It's a protection period.
It is, and it's very similar to what is happening. I'll tell you this, though. In my lifetime, as long as I followed and loved the NFL, I can't recall anything like this happening.
No, I don't either.
Not with the magnitude, Diesel, the magnitude of this Max Crosby type player. It's not like we're just talking about a Jalen Phillips, and no disrespect to Jalen Phillips, but we're talking about Max Crosby and a blockbuster trade that sent shockwaves to the NFL. And we thought, and we said it yesterday, you and I did, well, the Ravens have no excuse now, right? They have no excuse. And then just a few hours later, they lose the guy. I've never seen anything like it.
You know, the offer for Max Crosby is not going to be 2 first-round picks. If it's Dallas, then they're not going to give him that. Nobody's going to give him 2 first-round picks.
But that's helped. But what you say, that's a good thing for other teams?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. To me, the offer will be kind of like you saw the movie Moneyball, where he said, we're going to trade you for Carlos Pena, but we want you to stock our Pepsi machine for the next 2 years. I think the Raiders might get a first-round pick and somebody to stock the drink machine.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd do. If I were Dallas or if I were another team, I'd offer 1 first-rounder this year. So, like, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm calling them right now. I'm calling the Raiders. I'm saying, hey, I think Dallas has the 20th. They have a one early, and then I think they have the 20th pick, Diesel. I'm calling them. I'm saying, I'll give you the 20th. But here's what I want. Because of what's happened, is Dallas or whoever else, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask for a 3rd-rounder from you back next year to protect me. So not only am I going to get Max Crosby from you, I want a little protection on the back end just to make sure that I'm okay. And when I get my pick, whatever pick I give to you, I'm going to get him, but I want a little protection on the back end maybe next year.
Yeah, Dallas, by the way, has the 20th overall pick. They get it from the Green Bay Packers. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, this is a fascinating story. You don't see deals that, it felt like, okay, this is a logical deal, high price for Max Crosby, but still a logical deal. And we had days to think about this. You just don't see these kind of things happen like this.
And you kind of started with a conspiracy. I've got one more conspiracy for you on the other side. It's just weird, man, the hands that were in the cookie jar when it comes to this Max Crosby conversation. We'll continue that conversation next right here on the Fan Up State. Well, you just heard the promo. Diesel and I want to see you out in downtown Spartanburg next week, Thursday and Friday, the 19th and 20th. We're going to have a chance to do some inflatable hoops, Diesel. Rock and roll classic rock cafe. That's right up your alley. You might be shredding the guitar. Who knows? But we're going to be next Thursday, Friday at Rigsby's Classic Rock Cafe on Thursday. Rigsby's Smoked Burgers on Friday. And I texted a few of you Tolos back on the Hub or the Joy Law Firm text line yesterday. We want you there. If you have not done so already, mark it down. I know you're calling out of work. You're not working to watch the first 2 days of the tournament. So come hang out with us in downtown Spartanburg next Thursday and Friday. Rigsby's is doing it big. Like, we're not just showing up. They are doing it big. Free Jeremiah's Ice, all kinds of stuff going on.
Ooh, I love Jeremiah's Ice.
I know. I can't wait. We'll be there, Tolos. We want you there with us next Thursday and Friday in downtown Spartanburg. Let's go. We'll find out where the Furman Paladins are going on Sunday. Diesel, more on this Max Crosby deal, this conversation that we had in the very last segment. You gave a conspiracy. I gave one conspiracy. I'll throw one more conspiracy at you here when it comes to Max Crosby. So he underwent surgery 8 weeks ago, right? He was still on crutches until last week. He fails the physical sometime yesterday. This physical, here's what gets interesting. This physical was based on what the Ravens doctor saw, right, in Baltimore on Tuesday. Baltimore did not feel comfortable to pass him on that physical, which nullified the trade. Now, here's where it gets wild, in my opinion, and I want to get your thoughts on this. An outside doctor also took a look. An outside doctor took a look at Max Crosby. Dr. Cooper, the Cowboys doctor, Diesel, that performed the surgery on Patrick Mahomes not long ago, remember, also consulted with the Baltimore Ravens. So, did Dr. Cooper, this is a good conspiracy, did he intentionally give the Ravens some cold feet so his employer, the Dallas Cowboys, could still be in play for Max Crosby? The team doctor for the Dallas Cowboys was in on the evaluation process for Max Crosby. Let that sink in for a second.
Wow.
The Cowboys team doctor.
Subterfuge is what you're saying.
Giving cold feet to the Baltimore Ravens so that Baltimore doesn't sign Max Crosby and Dallas is still in play. And what if they signed him? What if they did? Would that not be weird, the fact that the Cowboys doctor was in on the consulting?
You know, it would be one heck of a way to devalue the asset so that Jerry Jones could get him for a lot less, intentionally tanking Max Crosby's value. So what's interesting here, Cole, is you and I have similar conspiracy theories that Max Crosby's value was tanking.
Yeah.
You based it on the Cowboys doctor intentionally dropping his stock.
Right.
I base it on the Ravens seeing that Trey Hendrickson's stock was dropping, but still thought it was higher than Max Crosby's stock. So very interesting.
Two different conspiracies, kind of like you said on the same line, but I know it's a conspiracy. I know it's a little far-fetched, but here's where it gets wild. If Dallas were to pull it off, you know what could have happened? Diesel, and now 4 o'clock, by the way, is in 11 minutes from right now. So things become official at 4 o'clock. But Dallas this morning could have done something absolutely wild. If you think about it, they got Rashawn Gary yesterday, right? Or Monday. Dallas could have called Green Bay, Diesel, and said, hey, we're good on that Rashawn Gary. They could have called him. They could have waived the Rashawn Gary trade. And then today, before 4 o'clock, Dallas could have went and got Max Crosby and called Green Bay and said, hey, y'all, we don't send Rashawn Gary. Y'all can have that guy back. So Max Crosby, failing the physical with Baltimore by the Cowboys doctor and the Baltimore doctor, could have sent Rashawn Gary back to Green Bay. It could have sent Max Crosby to Dallas, and it could have sent Trey Hendrickson to Baltimore. Think about that. All because of one doctor and two doctors failing him on the physical. But it goes back to, I want to know, will we ever find out, Diesel, why the physical was failed? Is that something we'll ever find out? I know you can't put a lot of that medical information public, I would want to know, though, what caused him to fail that physical.
God, well, because then it's based on an opinion. It's based on a doctor's opinion of what Max Crosby's knee situation really is. And then you have to compare it to, I mean, you'd have to poll 100 doctors, all looking at the same information, all having a chance to spend time with Max Crosby, all coming up with their own opinions. And they would all have to say, you know what, his knee is better than Dr. Cooper thinks it is.
Yeah, but I guess my whole thing is like, Diesel, you're right on this doctor stuff, but everybody knew he had surgery 8 weeks ago. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew he was on crutches for the past 8 weeks. So what do we know now is all I'm getting at. What do we know now that we didn't know 8 weeks ago? We knew that he had a meniscus that was pretty much shot. We knew that. We knew he was having surgery on the meniscus. But what of all of a sudden failing a physical, I just feel like, and again, I'm not a doctor, I feel like doctors, when they saw that physical yesterday, Diesel, from Max Crosby, I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like they should have seen the physical and said, yeah, that doesn't surprise us. Yeah, that doesn't surprise. Like, you just had meniscus surgery. No, that doesn't surprise us. Right?
We all knew. Yeah,
we all knew. So what was it? And what was the reason? And again, we talked about this in the last segment. What was the reason Max Crosby's doctor wanted the physical pushed back? Obviously, something to do with the time frame, the timetable, the healing process. There's more to the story. There's more to the story. There's always more to the story. Mm-hmm. But I just don't understand why we're learning stuff today that we didn't know on Friday when we signed the guy. That doesn't make sense to me.
8 minutes away from free agency getting officially underway, Cole. 4 o'clock this afternoon on the East Coast is when this thing goes live. To look at some of the other trades that have gone down over the past, couple of hours, really, and day and a half. The Colts re-signed Daniel Jones to a 2-year, $88 million deal. I think I saw earlier that's the highest dollar value attached to a 2-year contract ever in the NFL for Daniel Jones. And he's coming off of an Achilles tear, by the way. The Commanders signed edge rusher Clavon Chason to a 1-year, $12 million deal. He was big for the Pats last year, 18 tackles, 7.5 sacks. That's seventh most sacks in the NFL last year. Brian Burns, who the Carolina Panthers let get away, most sacks in the league last year. Yeah. Isn't that great? The Panthers let him go.
Yeah.
This one's big. The Giants have signed Ravens fullback Patrick Pancake Pat Ricard. He's rejoining John Harbaugh there in New York. Big physical run blocker, second among fullbacks over the past 7 seasons with 668 run block wins. Also, the Patriots added offensive lineman Elijah Vera-Tucker on a 3-year, $42 million deal. Look for him to keep Drake May upright, who, believe it or not, Cole, once they figured out how to keep Drake May on his feet, he got tremendously better.
Yeah.
When he went from...
And most quarterbacks do, by the way.
When he went from 34 sacks his rookie year to 21 sacks in his second season, he went from 2,200 passing yards to 4,400 passing yards. So keep him on his feet, and you doubled his passing production.
This NFL free agency stuff's wild. I love it. It's almost like its own sport.
It's a drug, really.
The whole Paul Harvey. Now here's the rest of the story. That's what it feels like. It's just always like there's more. There's just more and more and more. And then you're right. It's a drug. It's addicting, and we'll obviously have more throughout the show and throughout the week.
It's always interesting. Everybody's always looking for a bigger, better deal. And the difference between NFL free agency and now college free agency. In college, these guys aren't taking higher pay at lesser schools. They want to move up and be on a better school and a better program with a better chance to win, and they want more money. But in the NFL, you get guys, sometimes it's not their choice. They get traded to a weaker team, a weaker franchise, but they'll get paid for it. And so, hey, everybody's feeling good about where they are. So,
no doubt.
What a time to be alive. Again, we have about 6 minutes until free agency officially begins. We'll be tracking that all throughout the show for you today. But coming up next, we just chatted with her 2 days ago, 48 hours ago. We were with Melissa in Asheville, North Carolina at the SoCon Championship game. We'll talk to Melissa Level, again, the marketing director of Ingles Markets, coming up next right here on the Fan Upstate.
sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
Live here inside the Corner Cafe of an Ingles Market, one of our favorite places to be, 2120 Boiling Springs Road, a.k.a. Highway 9. Would love for you to come by and see us. We have a $25 Ingles gift card to give away. Just come by and see us. Maybe you have to thumb wrestle or Greco-Roman wrestle Evan, our promotions rep. If you can beat him, then you can have this $25 gift card sitting across from us, beaming ear to ear, as she always is, Melissa Level, marketing director for Ingles Markets. And when we were standing court level on Monday night, you just kept grabbing my arm like, look at this. Look at Eagles. We got an Eagles logo over there. We got an Eagles logo over there. We got an Eagles up there on the big billboard. Like, are you still buzzing from an event like that, or are you finally starting to come down?
Well, it takes a while, right? But now tonight at 7 o'clock, my team plays Cal and the ACC championship. So I got to get refocused so I can do that. But I was also wanting to show you the fun stuff that was going on. I mean, we had the relays. Those are really cool with the cheerleaders of the dance teams racing down the court back and forth, throwing cans of food into the barrels. That was really cool. And it was great. We had a bigger crowd. Of course, we sold out on Monday night. And then we had a bigger crowds on semifinals than we'd ever had. We had national television for the women's championship, the semifinals, and the final on ESPN, which is terrific. We only usually have the Monday night, so it's grown so much that it becomes a nationally televised game as well. And then, of course, we also add the next star element to the quarterfinals and the women's semifinals on Saturday. So we had a great time. We had Education Day, Thursday and Friday. But the big thing was we had you there.
Hey.
That's right.
Okay, and we had you on the phone, so it was great. Yeah. I mean, that was the highlight of the tournament.
It was awesome. Let me ask you this. I was thinking about this the other night, Melissa, during the game. Ingles have so much exposure there, but also at other events too. Do you see, I saw this on Facebook this morning, and I thought of Ingles, and I thought of you. Do you study or look at these graphs that show, a friend of mine that's a realtor on Facebook shared this graphic this morning where South Carolina especially is the number one state per capita where people are moving in left and right. Obviously, people around here that are from here know about Ingles, but from the brand exposure standpoint, when you guys are at events like the SoCon Championship, there's probably a lot of people who don't know what Ingles is, right?
Especially if they're coming from someplace where we don't have Ingles, right? Like a California or Texas or, New York or something like that. But what happens is that we're where people want to be. Okay, that's what we do. Everybody eats, so we try to do a lot of things. Obviously, we do sports. We also do music, and we have a talent entertainment division. I don't know if people know that. We have our Ultimate Air Dogs, which are those high diving dock dogs, and we have the, we have music and sports and education events, all sorts of things. So if you're moving here and you have interest in the community, you're going to see us. Of course, we have our Tools for School program. So we sort of start giving people who we are when you start shopping.
Mm-hmm. So how do you really measure the return on investment for an event like sponsoring the Southern Conference tournament? And you guys are everywhere. You're on. You're in college baseball stadiums. You're in high school baseball stadiums. You're in the Spartanburger Stadium. You're everywhere. How do you measure that? How do you because you have bosses too. You got to justify the amount of money that is being spread around to all these great causes. So how do you say, like, this is why it's worth it?
The number one thing that people watch on television live is sports and news, right? So we're in a lot of sports and we're in a lot of news places. And so that's just a big deal for us. And so, but advertising in general, unless you're going, I sold this many of this at this amount, right? Which you can always make a determination, but that's usually an item to a price to an amount sold.
Sure.
It's subjective. You really don't see it. When you find out how much it's worth is when you stop.
Yeah. It's true. That's right.
Okay, and then when you stop, you find out what that value was. I mean, look at Helene.
Yeah.
That was a really good opportunity for us to see how important it was for us to be in the community.
And you see how fast your competitors might want to snap up that sponsorship opportunity. Can't let them have it.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think, it is something that we enjoy doing too. I mean, it is great to be able to do it. But, I don't know if you noticed, but everything we do, we also have a charity element to it.
Yeah.
Like at our college and our high school games, we have a 3 for $3, $3 for every 3-point shot in basketball, $1 for every strikeout, $100 for every field goal in high school and college athletics. So, and even the Spartanburgers, which was the meals, Spartanburg meals. So, I mean, we let the teams and the students decide where they want that money to go, and we donate that on behalf of the school to those particular charities. It teaches a long-term culture of giving and being part of the community, and it ties those people to us in that positive aspect for into the times when they start becoming citizens that shop for groceries.
We're talking to Melissa Level, advertising director of Ingles Markets. Melissa, I want to get your thoughts on two topics that we talked about earlier in the show. Number one, at 3 o'clock, Diesel and I talked about last night, Bam Adebayo for the Miami Heat scored 83 points.
Wow.
I want to know from you, you've been a sports fan your whole life. Modern day NBA, a player scores on a Tuesday night 83 points. In your mind, in your opinion, does that rank on like the Mount Rushmore of greatest individual sports performances? Is it near the top, near the bottom? How impressive is that for you?
You know, it's probably pretty close to the top, but then I think of them as things that are attached to momentous things as well, like Michael Jordan's final game.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe's final game. He scored 60, I think.
Right. I think you look at that, if it ties into something that's also a moment in history in itself, I think that would rank that high. But certainly the achievement alone is important.
83 points.
Yeah, important on a Tuesday night.
And then Wilt Chamberlain.
But was anybody watching on a Tuesday
That's
night?
what Diesel said. That's behind the paywall. But then you compare like Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game in 1962.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah.
There weren't so many bad refs back then.
Yeah. It's tough.
So I saw a lot of people complaining about the refs
Oh, yeah.
in the Southern Conference tournament. And you watch that final game.
You saw me
remember,
complain about the refs.
That's right.
there were a couple of calls, out of bounds calls. There was one, Furman's
Remember
guy
when he
was
called
in
a
the air,
Furman
called
in the
timeout
air, right?
in the air, and they still didn't give it to him.
Right.
They get the ball back to the other team. What was your overall thoughts on the refereeing? Because it's low hanging fruit now. Everybody's just real easy to say the refs stink. The refs screwed it up. Was it as bad as the general public made it out to be?
There's NIL for refs now. Did you know that? No, I'm kidding.
Well, they just announced yesterday that they are going to start
Taxes.
tracking referees'
Right.
betting habits. All these sports books
Do you
are
remember
looking
when
for.
I told you that when it became easier to
Yep.
bet on these, no, just on the internet, not needing a bookie or all those things that are going
Yeah.
to be kind of on the sly side, it's going to be a lot easier for people to make decisions on things. But you know what? I think the refs overall did a really good job. I mean, you're not going to have a tournament or a championship in any sport. I mean, look at the baseball last year in Clemson. Remember that guy, that ref
Yeah.
that was sitting there like screaming and hollering at everybody?
Yeah.
And, I think, was he drunk? I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, it was like it was an important game.
Yeah.
We've had him in the NFL. We've had lots of things. There's going to be some bad apples and there's going to be some just honest mistakes. Okay, but overall, I think they did okay in this tournament. I've seen them make some really bad calls before, but not this one.
Speaking of refs, Diesel and I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. I want to get your thoughts on what the MLB baseball is doing with the robo-umps
Right.
and the automatic balls and strikes, the ABS system. So if a batter is at the plate and a pitch comes, he doesn't like the call, he can tap his helmet twice, and within 10 seconds, I know it seems like a long time, but by the time he walks to first, it's 10 seconds already.
Right.
Within that 10-second frame, the automatic balls and strike system with the Hawkeye technology can automatically, with that technology, tell if it was a ball or a strike.
AI keeping them honest.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
I do.
You have
actually.
a problem with that, though?
No.
A lot of people do.
No, why?
That's a great question. Diesel and I said,
I look at it and I think, you know what? How can you absolutely end the dispute about referees?
right.
AI.
Yeah.
I mean,
How do we not want precision? And
Yeah.
there's just far too much money being bet on sports
Right.
nowadays to not get
Yeah.
as
Get it
many
right.
Get it
calls right as you possibly can. There's still subjective things,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to be able to get it right.
the NFC Championship with New Orleans.
That's right.
I mean, you've had referees make calls that cost teams big, right?
Big.
Right.
That
big.
one, the one you're talking about, the
That's
Rams and the
right,
Saints.
right.
And you know what? I still can't believe in football, and Diesel and I talk about this too. The fact that we're in 2026
Right.
and a referee, a human being, grabs a stick and a chain and goes out and measures the distance of a ball. That's where we are. We're still there. That
Yeah.
should be Hawkeye, done with it.
But I can tell you this, right? The chains have an Ingles logo on them. in high
That's
school.
right. That's right. That's right. So you want to keep the
And it's
chains
lit up.
in
It's
high
a
school.
sponsorship opportunity.
I have seen those in
Yeah.
How did you
North
know?
Carolina,
Yeah, I know.
right?
That's right. That's why
some of
we
your
have
North
them.
Carolina schools.
Yeah, we have North Carolina schools, and they have that little eye right on the top of them, and they're
And they
lit,
light up.
Yeah.
and they have the digital light.
I've
right?
seen
So they
those.
can-
Cool.
I've
Now
seen
there
them.
is a bit of technology to that, as
Sure.
far as being able to do that. I mean, it gives the digital readout. So
Yeah.
I think there's, a start to that. There's something about having the chains too. That there's some parts of the game that even if they could be AI,
Yeah.
you still want to see
The
them.
pageantry, even if
Yeah.
it's not doing anything.
Right, exactly.
So I
You still want the umpire to go, yeah, right
Out. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I got to follow up with you on this because I didn't realize that I was breaking news and breaking hearts at the same time on Monday when
Right.
I told you that Mike Evans is no longer a Buccaneer.
Right.
He's a 49er. It's been 48 hours. Have you had time to come to terms with that yet?
Yes, you know how I did. He's injury prone and he's old.
He is old for a
So
receiver.
you've already written him off.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
You know how much has he actually played in the last 2 years?
He is 30. He's like
I mean,
30,
seriously, he
30
has
something years
had.
old, right?
I mean, there's been years where he's been like gone for the first 20 games of the season.
Yeah.
He's only 18, but
I mean,
you know what I
also-
mean. There's been less of him than more of him lately, right?
And you do want to get younger. I
Right.
get that.
Yep,
You know,
Yep.
draft coming up.
He's
Right.
typically a 1,000-yard receiver. He didn't have like 400 yards last year. He
Right.
only played in 8 games.
That's right. See,
So-
what am I? See, there we go.
Yeah.
See,
There you go.
I
Justification.
have
Availability.
justified it.
There you go.
Good decision. Let's bring on some new blood.
But you'll be happy, like when he finally hangs it up, he'll come back and sign for a day and retire a Buccaneer.
That's right.
You'll like him all over again.
Well, I think he had a great career with the Tampa
Sure.
Bay Buccaneers.
No, he did.
Certainly- And
did.
certainly in Super Bowl, I mean, that was incredible. You know,
No doubt.
but you know, you had a good supporting staff with him too. You had Gronkowski that time. Tom Brady throwing him the ball. I mean, that makes a big difference.
Right. No, it does. It
As
does.
opposed to, can you hear me now, Baker Mayfield, right?
Yes. Melissa, what do the late spring or spring, summer months look like for Ingles? I know that football during the fall, you guys are just absolutely slammed,
Right.
and then basketball is kind of wrapping up right now, right? So
We're
what
not
is,
stopping. We've got softball, USC Upstate, and baseball at USC Upstate. We have UNCA. We have SoCon baseball. We have
USC
5.
Upstate beat Wofford last night at
That's
Fifth
right.
Third Park.
That's
Did you see
right.
that?
I did.
In downtown Spartanburg.
So we'll be televising those games. We'll be involved with all of that. Of course, then we have the Spartanburgers all
Right.
summer long. We're televising 15 of those games. You guys will be out there.
Mhm.
I don't want to break any news. Can I break news? Maybe not. Okay, we'll
No,
wait.
Jay says no.
We'll wait.
I say yes. No,
We'll
Jay.
wait.
Jay's
You
higher
gotta
up.
get
Look at Jay. We're putting Jay on the spot. We're putting him on the spot. I like it. Make him
I'll
nervous.
tell you what. If you get out there and say, I love Big Buck and I can't deny, you might, that's a hit.
Oh,
That's a hit. Okay.
Gotcha. I'm with you.
All right.
I'm with you.
Melissa, ACC tournament is in full
That's
swing
right.
right now. Your
Tonight at
Florida
7
State
o'clock.
Seminoles face Cal tonight at 7. You want to send that other California team back home,
Right.
one and done. Now, obviously,
They're on
Ingles,
the time change thing, so they're not going to be able to. They're plus they have
good point.
the distance and
A lot
everything
of
else.
travel.
Yeah.
So, but we won 14 of the last 15 games. I mean, we played really well the last part of our season. Our coach came in third for
Yeah.
ACC Coach of the Year. I mean, I'm pretty proud of him for getting his first year and pulling that all together. And what I was going to ask you, maybe Duke, they don't really need to win the championship, right? Okay.
They got 2 guys out for the rest of this
right, and
tournament.
we play them if we beat Cal, right?
They don't. No, they don't need to.
Maybe
They don't
they'll
need
let
to.
us win. And,
yeah. Because we know Duke is known for being generous.
That's right.
but
That's right.
well, the same thing is I always thought to myself, if you don't need to win it, wouldn't it be good to have a teams in there that aren't as good?
If
as
you're
you
a
thought?
one-bid league, yeah,
Right.
but that's not the ACC.
Yeah.
Right.
What I was going to ask you though, tonight you got 3 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes
I know.
until tip off of that game. If people want to buy some wing platters or
Mm-hmm.
pizza or sandwiches or anything, how fast can they get big orders like that
You
done
come in right
in
now,
the deli?
okay, and you can walk away with them.
Bam.
Okay.
Right now.
And I'll tell you something else. If you don't want to wait for the platter, you can come in and use our salad bar, fruit bar, wing bar, olive bar, and create your own. That's one of the things that's so great about Ingles is we don't just have a salad bar. Okay, we
Yeah.
have a wing bar with 7 different flavors of wings. We have an
That's right.
olive bar. We have
Cole loves olives.
yeah,
Ugh.
we have meatballs are on there. We have fruit on all of that, so you can make your own platter. Plus, we have an incredible old world cheese shop, and that cheese is wrapped by hand at our Ingles warehouse.
about
So
that?
you guys have the meatballs that they were serving downstairs in
We
the
do. Were they
VIP.
delicious?
on
They're right
Monday?
on
Yeah.
that's on that.
They were
salad bar.
cheese stuffed
That's right.
meatballs.
They're right there.
They
They're right
were
on that salad bar.
incredible.
Yep.
So all of that stuff is available
That's right here.
at Ingles. You can get it. Most of those things in store
Yeah, we
right
bought
now,
the
but
food here to
Yeah.
make for the catering. Wouldn't that
Well, no,
amazing?
no, I mean, but it's all available for catering if people want to do it that
That's
way.
right.
Tell them about that spread that you guys laid out.
Oh,
down
listen,
there.
we handle all the catering, and
Yeah.
and I have a saying I like to do because people think grocery store catering, they think platters, right? I think it's Aunt Your Mama's. party platters. Okay, we had brisket, we had meatballs, we had gourmet shrimp and grits, we had everything you can imagine. Asparagus with hollandaise sauce, that was really, really good. Scalloped potatoes. Every day we had something different. We had prime rib one day. And then of course we fed the media and the volunteers as well. And that's part of our trade for that. But it's one of our favorite things to do because it's also an opportunity for people to see what our catering division can do, right? Okay, that it isn't party platters, that it is real food, really beautiful, that we start off in our own kitchen, our own catering kitchen in our corporate headquarters and bring into the arenas, the homes and the weddings, any kind of event that you have. And we can do that anywhere. It's beautiful. And the desserts were amazing.
Yes, they were. Melissa, you mentioned the Hub City Spartan Burgers a few minutes ago. Was season number 2 on the way? Last year, season number 1 was just fantastic, and what you guys were able to do, the visibility, the excitement. What does it look like, though, from the Ingles side of things when you look at what we talked about earlier with the new people that are moving to the upstate, but also what the Hub City Spartan Burgers are doing from a corporate standpoint of you guys being able to touch a lot of different people through that ballpark?
And that's a really cool thing that you just said, because even if you're coming to a new town, what do you want to do if you have kids? You want to find the things that are not truly big, expensive things to do, that are family oriented, that you can meet other people with that like doing the same things. And that's one of them. Minor league baseball is terrific. And the Hub City Spartan Burgers do it really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a beautiful park. From a sponsor standpoint, they highlight our sponsorship beautifully. We're going to be broadcasting 15 games, but I encourage you to not watch them on television, to go to the park. There's great food, great drink, lots of fun things to do.
A lot of high school games going on this time
A lot
of
of
year,
high school, and they have college as well, playing against them. So, I mean, it's just and the atmosphere is great. I mean, you can watch them put together a hamburger from the start, a human hamburger, right?
Cole, you were in that, weren't you?
Were you in that?
Yeah, me and Diesel, the last year media day, I dressed up as a hamburger, right?
Were you?
Yeah,
I was bun.
You were in the hamburger relay. You just laid there the whole time.
That's
You were the bottom bun.
You were the bun.
I was the bottom bun. So when you say I'm not good for anything, I can be a hamburger bun.
You've got buns, right?
I've got buns. Way too many of them. Way too many of them. Way too many of them. My buns are blushing. Melissa, you're the best.
Proud, right? Okay.
You're the best as always.
If they got poppy seeds on them, we got a problem.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thank you for all that you do, Melissa. Thank you for the tournament on Monday. It was fantastic.
Said this to you guys too. Without your megaphone, without you being part of this, we couldn't do this, and we just really love you guys. Thank you so much for helping spread the Ingles brand as well.
We appreciate it. We love that Ingles brand, and we always appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Melissa Level, Ingles Markets. We've got to run the break. We've got Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News coming on next to talk Gamecock South Carolina fans. Make sure you turn it on and leave it on. Lulu, next, right here on the Fan Upstate.
Sports takes at
Mike
the door.
is hot.
Call in if you're man up.
844 fan phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
It's time to talk South Carolina, women's basketball, maybe some football as well with Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. You hear her every Wednesday at this time right here on the Fan Upstate. That is until she gets big time on us, and she's on ESPN, and we have to email her PR rep for an interview request. Lulu, hope you're doing well. As always, appreciate your time. Let's go back to Sunday. Now that you've had a few days, a few nights to kind of let that sink in and what happened, Diesel and I talked about it obviously on Monday. Is it as simple as, Lulu, in your mind, South Carolina, when they go down 14-0, I know that they're still a good team, but in your mind, is it as simple as that one was over at the point where South Carolina was down 14-0?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes. First of all, thanks as always for having me on. But I do think that South Carolina, the hole was just too big to dig themselves out of when Texas was shooting as well as they were. It was the best the team has shot against South Carolina in 3 years. South Carolina had the third best, at times the best field goal percentage defense in the country most of the season. South Carolina cut it to 9, but you can't, cut a deficit to 9 with a team that just can't miss. So South Carolina and Texas were trading baskets, most of the game following that really bad first quarter. And I think that the mental lapses in the first 5 minutes were unfortunately the decision maker. And I think that it wasn't that I thought it was over after those, when Dawn called first time out, but it sort of was like, if Texas isn't going to go cold at all, it's over. And they just never really stopped missing shots.
Yeah, Lulu, you would expect Texas to cool off a little bit in the second half, and they just didn't do it. Now, true to her form, Dawn Staley didn't call her timeout early in the game. She let the team figure it out, and ultimately, they didn't do that. They didn't find a way to figure it out. But talk about Dawn Staley's teams now coming off of losses. There's not too many bad losses in Dawn Staley's career, so it's kind of hard to find an analogous game to this one. But generally speaking, how much faith do you have in Dawn coming off of this loss to use it as fuel to get better once they get into the tournament?
Yeah, and to be honest, I have a lot of faith. And this isn't, last year was interesting because I think I very much thought that the, defending champions would make a deep run. And obviously in the middle of that, or I guess before March Madness, they had won the SEC championship and ultimately didn't lose again until the title game in April. But there was one half of me that felt like maybe this team sort of was just needing a wee bit of a wake-up call. And I don't say that because they were lazy. I don't say that because they weren't necessarily trying or caring. But I think when you have a team like South Carolina that's dealt with a lot of different systems and injuries and rotations, and there's still a lot of youth on this team, sometimes it's just knowing that, 5 minutes ultimately matters. And I think that realistically, no matter how dominant you are, there are going to be close games in March, and knowing how to win those games are really huge. And so South Carolina did really well against LSU, and then on the 14th of February, and then just kind of went on this tear where they were just destroying teams. They caught a really, good Ole Miss team on their third game of the week, and I think that played into why they beat Ole Miss by so much. So I think in some ways, as you never want a lesson to turn into maybe, not winning an SEC championship for the first time since 2022. But as Dawn mentioned, the last time it happened, they won it all. And so she wasn't saying, okay, that's guaranteed to happen, but it might just be something that really is, sort of this universal sign late in the season for this team to really come back together with the days off ahead of March.
Lulu, Diesel just mentioned it. Right or wrong, I mean, you kind of live and die by not calling it. That's the illustration I use with Dawn's timeout methodology. Like a team that shoots a lot of three-pointers, you live and die by the three, right? And with Dawn, you live and die by not calling that timeout. Unfortunately, like Diesel said, they couldn't, uncoil the mess they were in, so they died by it. Do you have any criticism toward Dawn's approach there? Should she have called the timeout? Because, the experts like me, Lulu, who were sitting watching the game on our couch, the armchair quarterbacks, if you will, were yelling timeout. Do you have any problem with the way she let it play out in the first quarter?
Ultimately, no. And I'm not just saying that because I wrote a whole story last year about Dawn's timeout philosophy. But I do think, like, of course, you know, when it got to 8-0 in the first minute, I did not think, you know, okay, call a timeout. 14-0, I agreed with her decision there. And I think, you know, it's tricky as a player. It gives, I think, something that a lot of people don't realize is that when a opposing coach calls a timeout because you're on a tear, that gives you so much motivation. That gives you so much confidence knowing that a coach has to completely stop the game because of something that you're doing. And I think obviously, you know, it's very easy in times where a timeout is helpful to look and say, you know, okay, thank gosh, play stops there. But ultimately what Dawn sort of, you know, figures out is, like, for example, the national championship game, I think Iowa went up, you know, 11-0, but the shots that they were making are the ones that they, you know, that South Carolina could afford them to make. And so I think, you know, I talked with other reporters, there's no way of knowing it, had she taken a timeout earlier, what that would have meant. But I think ultimately the difference maker was that Texas never cooled off, because had, you know, Dawn called a timeout, it could have just been the fact that Texas went completely cold in the second half, which has happened so many times. So I don't blame Dawn for, in that moment, trusting that her leaders, and, you know, I'm not in any way blaming the loss on Raven Johnson, but, you know, she's the leader in that moment, and she was having an off game. The first, you know, minute she picked up a foul that she didn't think was a foul. And I think all those are sort of go into why Dawn stuck to her philosophy in that moment. And like you said, sometimes you live or die by it. And there's no way of telling, but I do think it might have been a little bit, I think in some ways, knowing how Texas finished the game, in retrospect, it's pretty easy to look, wow, that would have gave a team that was already kind of red hot even more confidence, knowing that they made a coach like Dawn Staley call a timeout.
Lulu, it's been 5 months since Chloe Kitts injured herself and was out for what we thought was the remainder of the season. But you said that on your Twitter that you had a conversation with Chloe, or heard from Chloe, where she said that she feels good enough maybe to get back out there. You know, there's always what players think, and they want to get out as soon as possible. There's also what team doctors think. So can you tell us the latest on Chloe Kitts and whether or not she might be available at some point in this tournament?
Yeah, no, that was probably my fault. It was more so she was kind of just discussing that she's not afraid. Like, she's at a point in her journey where she is like, I could step back out there right now and I wouldn't be afraid to do so, given the fact that, you know, her injury was kind of just a freak landing. So although she's ahead of it, like Dawn, sort of the question that you had, a lot of people posed earlier in like January, because Dawn was like, oh, she's so ahead of schedule, she's jumping, she's shooting, like all this stuff. And then Dawn came back the next day and was like, okay, I need to slow down, sorry, like, no, she's not going to be available this season. And that's still the case, but she's ahead of schedule. She should be ready to play come, you know, the start of next season for sure. She said that, you know, as well. Her dad said she's well on her way to 100%. So I think sort of the point in all of this is, like, Chloe's injury, you know, ACL tears are incredibly common, especially in women, but Chloe's came, you know, in practice while rebounding. And that's something that kind of sticks with you. And I think that it speaks a lot about her recovery and her trust in herself, that, you know, if she was, you know, if someone said, okay, walk out on the court and shoot, that she wouldn't be afraid that, you know, something was all going to happen again. And I think that speaks to sort of, one, the culture, one, the recovery, but also just like, she's going to be ready when that time, you know, is here.
Lulu, a little bit of a curveball for you as we're joined by Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News right here on the Fan Upstate. Lulu, we talked about this in hour number one, and not to get NFL related during your segment, but the Max Crosby news with the injuries. You just brought up injuries there with Max Crosby, the injury, failing the physical yesterday, Baltimore kind of backing out of that trade. From a college standpoint, I know you saw the news, you keep up with the NFL, and I don't know if we've ever seen anything like that happen with Max Crosby and the trade that almost went through that didn't happen because of the physical that was failed. But this new evolving landscape, put on your thinking cap and maybe even grab your magic 8-ball so we can look into the future. With what we saw happen with Max Crosby in the NFL last night and this morning, in the college side with NIL and the transfer portal, do you ever anticipate something like that maybe could happen on the college level?
That's a fair point. And I think especially like the timing. So something that I guess does and doesn't relate to that is like the WNBA season starts right after the NCAA tournament ends. And so for a lot of these high draft picks, their goal is to play till the latest possible date, and that's early April. And then their goal is to then get drafted a week later. And that's a lot on your body. That's pretty minimal rest. And then even if you're one of the, highest draft picks, you're still fighting for a roster spot in training camp in May. And, Georgia Amore is a pretty good example. She tore her ACL like the second or third, like pretty soon into training camp. And I think that, to answer your question, do I predict something, as directly related to the Max Crosby situation? That's hard to tell, but I do think there's probably going to be some type of conversation or heightened awareness around the fact that if we're, as an industry, as an organization, as a society, asking so much of these athletes so soon after they exhaust their bodies at the collegiate level, there has to be sort of some type of separation, or I guess, I don't even know, like resources where this isn't happening, where they get to a new place and they're a liability injury-wise.
Talking to Lulu Kessin of the Greenville News. Find her on Twitter at Lulu Kessin, Kesin. Is Bam Adebayo's 83 going to go down as more impressive than Kobe Bryant's 81? I mean, 83 is more than 81, but how they got there was very different in their two games. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'm excited for Bam. Obviously, the Asia Wilson element is cool. I love watching sort of both of them flourish, in their respective leagues. But I do understand that people have a little bit of like a sour taste in their mouth because of his free throw attempts. But that said, like, I'm never going to be mad about enjoying a monumental moment like that. So no complaints in that regard from me.
Lulu, the championship loss on Sunday for South Carolina right now has kind of hidden what happened on Saturday. Speaking of not allowing ourselves to diminish something we should celebrate, once again, and you and I and Diesel talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but once again, South Carolina picks up a win over LSU. That's what they do. They beat LSU 19 times in a row now, if I'm not mistaken on that, Lulu. A lot of people aren't talking about that game, obviously, because of the loss the next day. But, I mean, in your mind, all roads do come to an end eventually. Do they? Don't they? Or do they not? Because it just seems like, for whatever reason, Kim Mulkey cannot get past Dawn Staley.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance. The NCAA committee tries to avoid in-conference Elite Eights and things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to avoid a third round of LSU, South Carolina, even if ratings are a factor. I'm tired of seeing the matchup the same way I'm tired of seeing the matchup with Texas. So hopefully this isn't something I cover again this year, but it was incredibly impressive to see South Carolina yet again sort of weather the storm, especially when some of LSU's players were playing a lot better than they were the first time around.
Can I ask you a follow-up? I'm sorry, Diesel. I didn't mean to cut you off there. One follow-up to that real quick before we move off of that conversation. Can you go into why Tournament Tessa wasn't Tournament Tessa on Sunday, but she was in that Saturday game? Because she was incredible Saturday, and I'm not, seeing that she would just fell flat on her face on Sunday, Lulu, but what was off with her from what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, to be blunt, I just was not very impressed. Like, she had a tricky day on defense. And I think when you have a tricky day on defense, you get in your head. And when you're not, it's all connected. I think with Tessa, somebody that people put a lot of attention and pressure, which she should. She's one of the best shooters in the country. So, that should be the case. But her shots were kind of off, and you could tell that she was clearly losing the defensive matchup. And so I think it sort of just started to spiral a little bit. And that's something, again, like, the fact that wasn't an NCAA tournament game, that's huge because Dawn needs her more than she needs anyone. And so I think the big thing is, one, obviously LSU knew that she was a point of emphasis in that scout, but she still, like, that game, like you said, on Saturday was able to overcome that. And I think she just wasn't able to really get herself going on either end. And honestly, I think Dawn thought it was a bit of a defensive liability, and that's probably why she was spending a little bit more time on the bench.
Lulu, there's a very common statement, follow the money, and money is the reason Lamont Paris is back, or staying, I should say, in Columbia. It's either an unwillingness to spend money to get rid of him, or it's a willingness to spend more money to give Lamont a better chance to find success next year. Which is it?
Well, I think the reality is a $12 million buyout in the world of revenue share and NIL isn't nothing. And I do understand that, after back-to-back unsuccessful years, it seems like you snap your fingers. But the reality is, like, the South Carolina men's basketball position isn't the shiniest, job right now because of probably the pressure to succeed immediately. Honestly, I don't think firing and spending that money was the right decision. So I'm sort of backing up Jeremiah Donati because you put, the money that you're saving in his buyout dropping next year. I'm not saying, he's gone next year, but I think you're able to sort of save and redistribute. And that's sort of indirectly what I think Jeremiah Donati was saying yesterday. Like, hey, we're willing to see what you can do if we invest more in the program. And I think that's honestly a smart move to create trust and expectations between a fairly new athletic director and a coach who obviously, like Donati said, like has proven they can succeed. But let's see, okay, is it you or is it the lack of resources?
Lulu, you're the best. As always, we appreciate your time, and we will talk to you next week once we find out where the Lady Gamecocks, are headed.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too, Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. Always great insight, Diesel. A lot better than I can get. I mean, she is awesome. Great insight from Lulu. Love having her on every week. And, she's right on that the question you asked her with the Donati. I kind of find myself backing them up a little bit too.
Well,
I do.
Yeah, and we as fans, I think, have gotten way more impatient than we used to be. I think we used to have sort of an understanding of, number one, you got to give the guy more time, and number two, you understand why a school would hang on to a coach for another year or two to get into a better position to let them go. But that, nowadays, especially with big dollar donors at big schools, we've seen LSU and Florida and all these schools dip into the pockets of some really rich donors, and it feels like they could just come up with it like that.
Sure. That's
not the case for every school. And South Carolina, clearly not one of those schools, and the basketball program, clearly not one of those programs where they're willing to do that and spend that kind of money. So prudence here is not necessarily the sexiest way to go about coaching changes or not, but that's where the South Carolina Gamecocks are. Cole, there's a lot going on in the sports world. Free agency opened up about 42 minutes ago for the NFL. Lots of news and movement going on there and other places in the sports world as well. We'll rapid fire get to all of it next in our Daily Wires.
Clear.
Thank you.
Bryson and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Tolos, so much going on in the sports world. Let's head it all rapid fire. These are our daily wires. The buzz happening around the sports world. The Raiders announced yesterday that the Ravens had, quote, their words, backed out of a trade agreement that would have sent Max Crosby to Baltimore in exchange for 2 first-round draft picks. They didn't really give a whole lot of details on top of that, but we know now that the Ravens have picked up Trey Hendrickson instead.
That is still the craziest sports story I've ever heard. It just, like, I've never heard of that happening, but here we are.
Kobe Bryant has fallen to 3rd in the all-time highest single-game scoring record book because Bam Adebayo had an 83-point night for the Heat last night, Cole, against the Washington Wizards. I mean, absolutely awful on defense. For some reason, they fouled him. I don't know how many actual fouls they committed on him, but it applied to 43 free throw attempts for Bam Adebayo. He kept hitting them. So why do you keep fouling him?
I just don't know if I can give him credit for that. 43. And we're going to get into it at 6 o'clock. You and I are. But
Yeah.
43 points. They're free. He got 43 free points. Freebies. I don't know.
Well, for what it's worth, in Kobe's 81-point game, he only attempted 20 free throws in that game. So more than double the number of free throws. Bam hit almost twice as many free throws as Kobe even attempted in his game.
Big difference. Big difference.
Yeah. The Clemson Tigers 15-2 now on the season after a 6-1 loss to Georgia Southern yesterday.
You have to get rid of Eric Bakich.
Yeah, Clemson's next
Fire
game.
the guy, right?
They get into conference play and will face Georgia Tech starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
The South Carolina Gamecocks also losers, Cole. They fell to the Citadel 12-6. They were 12-6. They fell to the Citadel 8-3. They will travel to Gainesville to start the gauntlet of SEC play this weekend.
I'm telling you, we're going to put them on the calendar. I don't know when. You and I are going to do a segment coming up soon, maybe in April, May, June, somewhere on the worst run for Clemson and South Carolina. I think you and I are hosting local sports radio right now, and maybe one of the worst runs they've had.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like you freak out because of 2 baseball losses midweek. I'm kidding about the Eric Bakich thing.
It's not about losing. It's who you're losing
It's
to.
just like it feels like every other day we're talking about like a bad law. Again, I know it's a little bit of overreaction, but I don't know. We need good times back.
You know, it wasn't that long ago that we were in an historic run of wins for Clemson. So we at least had one team in the state that was doing really well. Brad Brownell and the Clemson Tigers are in action tonight in Charlotte, taking on Wake Forest. Tip-off set for 9:30 on ESPN2. The Tigers favored by 5.5.
You got to stay awake. Get a Red Bull from England before you leave.
Man,
9:30.
I drank a 5-hour energy leaving Asheville Monday night. I didn't go to sleep until 2 a.m.
Oh no!
On Tuesday morning.
Just to put that in the kind of reference, that game's not starting for another 5 hours almost.
Goodness gracious!
Just under 5 hours.
Unbelievable. Cal and Florida State will play at 7.
Yeah, I think so.
7.
That's right.
Lakers star LeBron James was out for last night's 120-106 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves because of left foot arthritis and a right hip contusion. He went through his pregame shooting routine, but determined he needed more time to get more treatment on his foot before playing in a game. So really sad for all those Timberwolves fans who bought tickets to see him play, but ultimately, nope, no LeBron.
Well, here's what it's boiling down to for me, and I've said this a couple of days ago. When he's not on the court, the Lakers are winning. And he's got to recognize that. He's got to recognize that, and they're winning without him. And when he's playing, they're not the same team. They're not. They don't jive offensively the same way. He's got to recognize that.
Apologies there. Crypto.com is the home arena for the Lakers, so not Timberwolves fans. You know, if I'm a father that brings his kids to a game, you know, I'm walking right back to the ticket booth, say, "Give me my money back." I brought my kids here to see LeBron, not to see whoever.
My opinion on that is, if it's an injury, I'll live with it.
Sure.
If they're sitting out because of a back-to-back, that's where I have problems. I don't want the back-to-back or sitting out because we had a back-to-back. I mean, give me a break on that, right?
The Charlotte Hornets got back in the win column last night and back to 500 on the season with a 103-101 road victory at Portland. Charlotte outscored Portland 57-46 in the second half to come back and win that game. Brandon Miller scored 23 in the effort. Charlotte is at Sacramento tonight to face the 16-50 Kings. So I think there's a good chance the Charlotte Hornets could get it done.
Usually, though, we'd say, it's toss-up.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hornets and the Kings, but they're good. They're good. I love it. Let's go Hornets.
Dozens of U.S. lawmakers have called on FIFA to lower ticket prices for the 2026 World Cup, criticizing their use of dynamic pricing that they say makes the events too expensive and exclusionary. A bunch of lawmakers argue that high ticket prices are pricing out fans and international visitors.
No.
They are urging FIFA to reconsider using these pricing policies.
You don't say.
Yeah.
The ticket prices are pushing people out. Who would have thought it, right?
I hate dynamic pricing. I absolutely hate it. Just 24 hours after publicly admitting that they weren't ready for modern college basketball and NIL, Syracuse has fired head coach Adrian Autry. He went 49-48 in 3 seasons there at Syracuse, Cole, but you cannot say that quiet part out loud.
Well, they have expectations. That's
Yeah.
the difference, and we talk about Lamont and South Carolina and other jobs. I mean, they're not used to that. What you just the record, they're used to winning.
That's true. This one is awesome, Cole. We talked about Dabo Sweeney going after tampering pretty heavily. Queens basketball head coach Grant Leonard, who got his team into the NCAA tournament this year, accused an SEC assistant of buying a courtside seat to get ahead in the recruitment of one of his players. He posted that while retweeting USF head coach Brian Hodgson, who said, quote, "Any of these clowns think they're going to reach out before the season ends and start sending DMs, I will find you. I'm not like the rest of these coaches. We will have face-to-face conversations."
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Getting
Let's
a
go.
little chippy there.
That's right.
The assistant coach at the Queens game was allegedly from Auburn, though that's not
Gotcha.
been confirmed. Former Dolphins pass rusher Bradley Chubb reached an agreement to join up with the Buffalo Bills. The NFL is considering adding a Thanksgiving Eve game to its schedule, potentially starting this year, which would give them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Thanksgiving Eve, Thanksgiving Day, and Black Friday games. The Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson has restructured his contract to free up $40 million in salary cap space. New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch faced backlash for his communications with Jeffrey Epstein. They were bad, by the way, leading to a decision by Tisch and his family to transfer their stakes in the team to their children's trusts. So this still pends league approval. But the Tisch siblings would no longer have any controlling interest in the team.
Diesel, in the very next segment, I don't say this often, and I mean this. I'm upset. I am not happy to call myself an American today.
Uh-oh.
I'm not. I am absolutely 100% on board with Dewey. You should be fired. I want somebody's neck. And I'm talking fire him, get rid of him, never allow him to coach again. I am 100% Team Dewey. I'll tell you what I'm talking about next.
Change the tracks.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
Well, before I get into this rant that I have, this gripe that I have, I do want to give a shout out to Hurricane Jeff, who stopped by Ingles, where Diesel and I are live right now on location on Highway 9, 2120 Boiling Springs Road, otherwise known as Highway 9, the very first Ingles. As soon as you get off of I-85 on the Highway 9, we're live here until 7 p.m. tonight. Hurricane Jeff got himself, Diesel, a $25 Ingles gift card.
How about that?
So big
Congratulations,
shout out.
Jeff.
That's right, Hurricane Jeff, man. Good to see him.
Also, shout out to Preston, who most of the time, Cole, when we're up here in Boiling Springs, we got a couple different stores that we go to over there in the Springfield location, and this one as well. We're excited to be here. This is the first time we've been at this one. He comes by to a lot of these events, so good to see Preston again.
Also, shout out, since we're giving shout out, Scott on the Facebook stream says, solid show so far as always, gentlemen. Gets a 10 out of 10 on the Boston Scott Wicked Pissa scale so far. Scott, appreciate you as always, and appreciate all of you listening. Also want to say a shout out or give a shout out to Shane Barrett, who left us a nice note earlier on Twitter today, Diesel, and said today's a beautiful day, so I'm going to give a shout out to my sports radio podcasters and shout this out. And Shane, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate all of you listening and turning it on and leaving it on. 97.1 FM Spartanburg, 97.7 FM Greenville, and 101.5 FM in Anderson.
Hey, anytime we and I can be tagged alongside David Cohn of Crane & Company, or Crane & Cone now, I love it.
That's right.
Coney's my boy.
Appreciate you, Shane. Appreciate all of you, Tolo. So let's get into this. We're also going to get into South Carolina baseball in this segment as well. I, Diesel, am just so dumbfounded today. What happened last night, I don't know how in the world what happened last night happens in real life. If you Tolos out there on this Wednesday at 5:03 haven't heard, this is the most embarrassing thing, sports-wise, that we as a country have ever done. This is the most ludicrous thing. This is the worst thing, sports-wise.
You're not going to bag on America, are you?
I'm ashamed to be an American.
Lee Greenwood would be rolling over in his grave right now.
Diesel, I'm so ashamed.
Is he live? Is Lee Greenwood alive?
I think he's still alive. Last I
Still?
checked. Yeah, I think so. Unless he died like today. If you don't know what happened, Italy defeats USA last night 8-6. So Italy's now 3-0 in the World Baseball Classic Pool B. United States now 3-1. So I'm not livid because we lost the game 8-6. The box score, we'll get into that. We actually were down pretty big. USA mounted the comeback. But I know that Dewey, we make fun of Dewey a lot on this show. Dewey, we pick it, Diesel, sorry, we pick it Dewey. We make fun of him sometimes. We have fun with him, right? Dewey's tagline, he always says, hey, he should be fired. She should be fired. Well, guess what? I am 110% on board with Dewey today. Mark DeRosa, the general manager, the manager of Team USA, should be fired. He should be canned. He should never coach baseball again. If you haven't heard this story, if you don't know what happened last night, Mark DeRosa didn't know what kind of position the United States of America were in. So guess what happened? He didn't play 3 starters last night. He thought we already were going to be just A-OK. And guess what we did? We lost. And now, before we get to this audio, Diesel, Team USA's destiny is no longer in its own hands. The good news is the second tiebreaker is runs scored, not run differential. So the late runs that we did score last night did matter. Mexico, though, plays Italy tonight. And if Italy wins tonight, USA advances, finishing second in Pool B behind Italy. But if Mexico wins, USA advances if Mexico scores 5+ runs. USA will be eliminated if Mexico scores 4 or fewer runs. Well, why am I livid? Well, here's what Mark DeRosa, the manager of USA, said before the game, saying the outcome didn't matter. This was his thoughts before the game yesterday on national television. John, this is the very first link on the rundown if you'll play what Mark DeRosa uttered on live TV.
You got 9 bodies ready to roll today, I would imagine. Absolutely. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to get some guys off their feet. No question about it. I'd like to get Goldie a start. And, he has been awesome. Just a leader of men behind the scenes with Aaron Judge. I'd like to get him in there. I'd like to get Gunner in there again. Ton of respect for Italy. It's weird. We want to win. We want to win this game, even though our ticket's punched to the quarterfinals, because Mexico plays Italy actually tomorrow. So the way the schedule lines up, this is an important game for us. Nolan McLean will start. He's on the bump and he's good to go. He's an absolute beast, and I expect him to throw the heck out of him.
So you heard that audio, right?
He said two things at the same time. He goes, the outcome doesn't matter because we're already in. But then he also said, this is an important game for us. So which is it? Is it an important game for you or is it not?
Diesel, I can't believe these words were uttered. He coached for 16 seasons in the major leagues, right? Played for just about everybody. Played for the Braves, the Cubs, you name Indians, Cardinals, Giants. He played for everybody. Washington, the Blue Jays. I mean, look, Mark DeRosa, Hall of Fame type player coach, the head coach of the World Baseball Classic for Team USA. That same piece of audio, John, one more time. The exact same piece of audio, please, one more time.
Body's ready to roll today, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to get some guys off their feet. No question about it. I'd like to get Goldie a start. And, he has been awesome. Just a leader of men behind the scenes with Aaron Judge. I'd like to get him in there. I'd like to get Gunner in there again. Ton of respect for Italy. It's weird. We want to win. We want to win this game, even though our ticket's punched to the quarterfinals, because Mexico plays Italy actually tomorrow. So the way the schedule lines up, this is an important game for us. Nolan McLean will start. He's on the bump and he's good to go. He's an absolute beast, and I expect him to throw the heck out of him.
Our ticket is already punched. Well, Diesel, guess what? The ticket wasn't punched.
No.
And we're not talking about minor league baseball.
Right.
We're talking about the coach of the U.S. of A. here.
You see this kind of stuff all the time on social media when America does something amazing. People will post things like the European mind can't wrap their heads around the amount of freedom and awesomeness that's going on here. Truthfully, Cole, we don't play a lot of group play sports in America. The USA soccer team will be in like group play, pool play for the World Cup, but this doesn't happen very often in baseball. I know it's the WBC. I know they do it every year, but it's like, come on, like, do they not understand what pool play is and how that works? Also, the irony that it was an American hitter, Jack Caglione, who played his college ball at Florida. He was amazing.
Yep.
At Florida now, I believe, with the Rangers. He hit a home run, an RBI home run in that game that ultimately ended up being the difference. It was early in the game, but he put up the runs that won the game for Italy.
How do you not know the tiebreakers as the manager of Team USA? How do you not know the rules? You are Mark DeRosa, and you don't know the rules that you're coaching in. It's not the Olympics. I know that. I understand that, Diesel, but it's the World Baseball Classic. And you sit 3 starters. Now, granted, to be fair, the lineup that they rolled out there last night, guess what? That lineup should have still beat Italy. There's no doubt. You had Witt Jr., Henderson, Judge, Schwarber, Will Smith, Roman Anthony, Goldschmidt, Harper. You had a really good lineup out there. You should have still won the baseball game. You didn't know because of your coach not knowing the freaking rules. Here's what he said post-game. John, if you'd play the second piece of audio, please.
Is that true? Yeah, I misspoke. I was on hot stove with a couple buddies today and completely misread the calculations. We knew that Mexico was going to play Italy and then running all the numbers with if we lost tonight with the runs allowed and runs scored and outs. So I just misspoke.
You didn't misspeak. You didn't understand the rules.
You misspoke, and then you're right. He went on to say, "Well, I had the one more time. I got to hit one more time, John. One more time."
Is that true? Yeah, I misspoke. I was on hot stove with a couple buddies today and completely misread the calculations. We knew that Mexico was going to play Italy and then running all the numbers with if we lost tonight with the runs allowed and runs scored and outs. So I just misspoke.
Just misspoke. I
How
mean,
about that?
it absolutely blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind that you're the manager of Team USA. Again, now that your destiny is no longer in your own hands, you've got to rely on so much to happen. I think it's a horrible look for Mark DeRosa. I think it's a horrible look, Diesel for Team USA. And again, I understand that this is not the magnitude of the Olympics. We're not talking about a gold medal, but still, it's the World Baseball Classic. And you're telling me the coach, the manager of the World Baseball Classic doesn't know the rules. So you bench 3 guys to get some guys some rest. You said it during the pregame interview.
You know, whenever we talk about buyouts, we talk about it's not just the head coach they got to buy out. They got to buy out the entire staff. That means Mark DeRosa's entire staff got this wrong as well.
The players didn't know?
Not one of them. Not one of them. As he was preparing for the matchup against Italy, not one of them said, no, coach, that's not how it works. We have to win this ball game to ensure our way in.
So you're saying none of the assistants knew, none of the players knew, none of the staff. Like you probably have PR guys.
I don't know. You ever been around a lot of baseball players? I wouldn't expect them to know.
You should know what you're playing in. I mean, now maybe the players not so much, but still, you kind of got to know. And let me ask you, from the media standpoint, you and I we deal with like media people. We deal with like PR guys and SID. They don't have anybody in the the World Baseball Classic was telling Mark DeRosa, hey, coach, no.
You got to win.
You got to, like, what are we doing here?
Like, if you play your starters and you lose,
That's
it is what it is. But,
That's one thing.
To lose because you didn't understand that you had to win.
And again, I know that lineup was still good. It was a good lineup, and they should have won the game. That lineup should have still taken care of Italy. It didn't. Again, you fell behind early. You mounted the comeback. You had a couple of home runs. You pitched well down the stretch, but it wasn't enough. You were down 8-1, 8-2 to begin with. So coming back 8-6, that's nice and all. And again, the only good thing about those runs scored late last night in that baseball game, Diesel, is the second tiebreaker. It's not run differential, it's runs scored. So that does matter. But Mexico, Italy tonight, this is huge tonight. Again, if Italy wins tonight, USA advances, finishes second in Pool B behind Italy. If Mexico wins, USA advances. If Mexico scores 5+ runs, the USA Diesel is eliminated if Mexico scores 4 or fewer runs. So we're pulling for either Italy to win or Mexico to score a lot of runs and win.
So Mexico 4 or fewer wins, 4 or fewer runs in a loss doesn't matter.
That's right.
They have to win the ball game. We cannot let this be a low scoring game. We need it. For Mexico, we need it to be a low-scoring game. For Italy, we need it to be a high-scoring game.
And this is all because of Mark DeRosa. All because the manager of the baseball team didn't know the rules.
Way to go, dum-dum.
I just can't believe it. I mean, it sounds like something like on a Saturday morning you go to Upward or you go down the Tiger River or whatever here in Spartanburg, Greenville, and play your Little League game or whatever, and the coach doesn't know, and you get mixed up, and then you get in a fight in the parking lot because the coach and the dad and the uncle are all upset. That's what it sounds like. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the World Baseball Classic. The World Baseball Classic, and our manager of our country didn't know the rules. So now all of a sudden we're relying. I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. I do. Tolos, look, you get in on the conversation as well. 844-326-3663. Phone lines are open. Joy Law Firm text line open as well. You just said the words bad look. How bad of a look was the loss last night for the Gamecocks? Big deal, not a big deal. South Carolina loses to the Citadel last night, Diesel, on a Tuesday night. It's a midweek game. I know midweek games, you don't hit the panic button for a midweek game, and it is just one game, but this is not a great Citadel team. Second-year head coach at the Citadel. What are your thoughts? Do you hit the panic button?
Yeah, you hit the panic button because you know that the competition is about to get a lot tougher, and you needed every win you could get. Maybe it doesn't matter ultimately at the end of the day if you win these games because the season is not going to go well for these Gamecocks, but you cannot lose to an in-state Citadel team when you are expected to be the class of college baseball in this state. Now, I know that they've fallen off over the last couple of years, but the reputation is still the reputation. You still have to handle business and hold serve, even when you are not a great baseball team top to bottom. Citadel 6-8 on the season. And Cole, I mean, think about it like this. The year that the Citadel beat South Carolina in football, those Citadel fans are still talking about that. Clemson fans still make fun of South Carolina for that. And just like that, this Gamecock baseball program deserves to get curb stomped by the media, by fans, you know, in offices, standing next to the water cooler. Clemson fans, if you know somebody who's a South Carolina fan, please bring up that they're 0-2 against the Citadel in the last 2 times they played them in big sports.
And I think Russell Triplett now, if I'm not mistaken, without looking, Diesel, I think Russell Triplett's in his second year at the Citadel. They were 21-32 a season ago. Again, you talked about they have a losing record this year. 2024, they were 2024, they were 21-32. Last year, they did have a winning record, 31-26. I think that was Russell Triplett's first season at the helm of the Citadel. But before that, the coach got fired in 2024 after that season when they were 21-32. Not a good baseball program as of late. In 2023, they were 23-31, a losing record again. So we're not talking about a program in the Citadel that's been this great program over the few years. They've had 3, 4, 5 seasons in a row, losing seasons in a row. And again, it is one midweek game, but it's just tough, Diesel, when you're talking about the start to the season already, losing the Queens. If it were a one-off, it'd be different. But this just doesn't feel like a one-off for Gamecock baseball.
You know, I didn't realize this, Cole, but South Carolina has not played Citadel in football since Citadel beat them in 2015. That's been 11 years since South Carolina's played them. Are they going to have to stop playing them in baseball too?
Maybe so. Texter on the I like this text on the Joy Law Firm text line from 344 says, check, please, regarding Gamecock baseball. And I get it. That's kind of, how it feels. And going back to what I just said, though, Texter and Gamecock fans out there, if you are a good team and you lose to the Citadel, we have this conversation all the time. It's a midweek game. No reason to panic. You got a long season, but it just feels like it's the same old with this baseball program. Now they're 12-6. So you look at what they've done. They beat Northern Kentucky twice, lost to Northern Kentucky. They beat Wofford and Gardner-Webb. They beat Army. They lost to Army, beat Navy, beat Air Force, lost to Queens, came back, beat Clemson once, lost to Clemson twice in a row, beat USC Upstate, beat Charleston Southern, and beat the smart, rich kids up there at Princeton, right? 3 games in a row. Then they lose to the Citadel. You said it a minute ago. Things are going to get tough. They go on the road starting Friday in Gainesville, Diesel, to take on the number 23 Florida Gators. So things are going to get tough for South Carolina. The SEC's very, very difficult. Then the very next weekend, you have an Arkansas team that was playing, pretty late in the season last year. Remember Gage Wood and those guys from Arkansas? They were pretty good last year. So you're right. Things are going to get tough. Not only do you need the wins, you've got to figure out what formula, what recipe you can put together to provide some sort of winning baseball, some taste of winning baseball. Right now, you're just not doing that.
Well, the good news is, if you're South Carolina, it's far more affordable to fire Paul Maneri than it is to fire Lamont Paris. It costs you about $5 million to get rid of Paul right now. Yeah. Obviously, you got to fire staff too, so that it's going to end up costing you more money. But hey, if you're looking for value, that's where you find it. You hang on to Lamont for another year, wait for that buyout to drop, but you can get rid of Paul right now, today. Well, for about $5 million.
You know what the hard part, though, is, Diesel, like for a Gamecock fan, and I know that one texter was just, texting in about check, please, wanting his check already. The hard part is, it's only March 11th, and this is year 2 of Paul Maneri and then Mark Kingston. Those teams, Mark Kingston teams at least were good at times. They were really good at times. They were also really bad at times, too. But what's difficult about this baseball program right now is there's just no positive outlook. And I said it a minute ago, you've got to figure out, these coaches, Diesel, Paul Maneri's been doing this a long time, right? Monty Lee is, if not the highest paid assistant in college baseball, one of the highest paid assistant coaches in all of college baseball. Guess what? You know what those two guys got to do? Those two guys have to figure out, yes, we know we're in the SEC, but we've got to figure out with the roster we have, the guys we have, how do we somehow, some way put together a formula recipe of winning baseball with this roster? Because eventually, and I know you just talked about Paul Maneri, I hate to say this, it's not just a Paul Maneri problem. Monty Lee's not doing anything either. So, I know that guy's loved by a lot of people, and there's a lot of people who have forgotten more baseball than I'll never know. That Diesel that'll say Monty Lee's just a baseball expert, and I get that. But guess what? Things aren't working. He's been there. He's one of the highest, if not highest, paid assistant coaches in the sport. Yeah, and you're failing year after year. At some point, you've got to wipe the slate clean and just start completely over.
But here's the thing. Baseball is played on the diamond by players. You don't have coaches walking out there throwing their resume in the dirt. You don't have them throwing pay stubs in the dirt. That doesn't matter. Results matter. And Monty Lee, Paul Maneri are not delivering results for this team and this school and this fan base.
That's what I'm saying.
That expects to win. And, it's just like football, and it's just like where basketball is right now in the SEC. They got so much money. They're bringing all the sports up all at the same time. Now you're at the bottom of the barrel, and you have to find a way to claw back. That is extremely hard to do when Florida is elite, Tennessee is elite, LSU maybe not so much this year, A&M's elite. There's amazing baseball all over this conference, and it's hard to pull yourself back at this point.
But you're paying the guy. He's one of the top, I think, the top paid assistant coach. So my problem with that is why? Why is Jeremiah Donati? Why is South Carolina paying him this much money if he hadn't done anything? This is just getting to the point where it's ridiculous. And again, I like Monty Lee. I've talked to him many times. I've met him many times. I like him. He's a nice guy, but things just aren't working. They didn't work out for Monty Lee at Clemson. We saw that come to an end. We thought that was going to be the greatest hire ever, right? The former Gamecock, and now they're not working out in South Carolina. So for whatever reason, at some point, Diesel, the people who are cutting the checks, who are signing the checks, they're to blame. They're the ones signing that guy's check. Give me the highest paid assistant job and let me be the next to last worst baseball team in the SEC. That's what you. Why is the Arkansas assistant coach? Why is Tennessee's coach not making South Carolina assist? I mean, come on, give me a break.
Cole, we obviously around here, we love sports. We love talking sports. I love sports movies, and I know you do as well. Remember that turd that came out last year, Happy Gilmore Part 2?
Yeah.
You kind of liked it in some ways. I hated it basically from start till finish, Cole, but I think we might have a new contender for the worst sports movie and specifically worst golf movie of the decade. Maybe. We got a big one coming attached to a big-time actor, big-time comedic actor. We'll talk about that. And check out what's going on now that we're an hour and 22 minutes into NFL free agency. That's coming your way next on the Fan Upstate.
Upstate.
Will Ferrell is set to star in a brand new sports comedy on Netflix called The Hawk, where he plays Lonnie the Hawk Hawkins, a professional golfer who's over the hill, who's trying to attempt to come back 20 years after his peak in the game.
Is that not Happy Gilmore? I mean, exact same. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what's the difference there?
Netflix is just turning out flop after flop after flop film. I mean, it's got a big name attached to it. Will Ferrell, obviously was one of the most bankable comedic movie stars 20 years ago, but I just don't. It's kind of a metaphor for his career as a comedic actor. Old school, all the great movies that Will Ferrell was in over the years, but we haven't seen anything that Will Ferrell has been in a long, long time. So I think Lonnie the Hawkins might be a metaphor for Will Ferrell himself.
Well, I hope the trailer is better than what it sounds like, because as of right now, no interest. I like sports movies.
The problem is there isn't a trailer. There's like a little teaser. This is brand new. I watched it earlier today. You can't get anything out of it. But here's the description. Lonnie Hawkins, 2004, #1 golfer, struggles on the back nine of his career to recapture his magic. His body says retired, but his heart says he's not done yet. His ex-wife and his son Lance, golf's new golden boy, know that he's through. But with one more major win to complete golf Grand Slam, Lonnie refuses to believe that he's anything other than one stroke away from the greatest comeback in golf history.
That literally sounds like something you get off of ChatGPT. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like, hey, ChatGPT, write me a script, an idea for a golf movie. And then what you just read is what it sounds like. I mean, really, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
No, and it's Will Ferrell, right?
Yep.
No,
Yep.
no
I mean,
thanks.
Will Ferrell's great, but this movie, the premise is absolutely awful.
Well, the storyline to me, again, it just sounds very repetitive. It doesn't. The storyline doesn't have anything to.
Well, that's
I
the
don't
thing, man. That's what Netflix does with movies. They just churn out more and more and more crap. It's not about making the best movie you can. It's about making an okay movie as cheaply as you can, as regularly and quickly as you can, to spit it out, get people to sign up and watch it.
Real quick, Eagle, I wanted to get to a couple of texts before we flip over to the NFL. A couple of texts came in here at the break. Mark gets in and says, Carolina hiring Maneri is like South Carolina bringing Colts. He is too old and can't get the players needed to play in the SEC. They will never finish better than middle of the pack every year in the SEC. Why hire a coach who was out of the game for 5 years? If you remember, they keep Monty after they fired Kingston. That's correct. Philip Moore on Twitter says, insiders say Paul Maneri has taken over the hitting approach, swing, and everything. Monty's hands are tied, supposedly. And I've heard some of the same rumors, but again, there's just nothing good coming out of it at all.
Jay Tez texts in and says, if Landon Powell isn't our head coach next year, there will likely be a fan mutiny. Well, that's a fascinating concept, Jay Tez, because so far, the last time we had an opportunity for Landon Powell to be the guy, there was very lukewarm, tepid feelings about giving a guy who only has Division II experience, even though it's incredible, national championship pedigree winning Division II experience. Gamecock fans have been turning up their noses at Landon Powell for a long, long time. Not all of you. Some of you understand just how good of a coach he is, but many more will say, why would we give the reins to an SEC program to him who doesn't really know how to coach at this level?
Well, it's because the experts out there and these talking heads say that, well, he's never. It's because they're hearing it from them. That's why. We had them on the show. We had people on the show who, oh, he's never coached Division I baseball, even though that's not true. He has coached. He's coaching Division I baseball right now. Right now, he's coaching Division I baseball. Some of the players he has, I'd say 80%, 60, 70% of the roster is Division I players. When they went and played the Mount Olive last weekend, you ever watched Mount Olive play baseball? I promise you, it's a lot of D1 players. I only hear. So these experts that came on our show and that said all this bullcrap lies about, well, he's never coached D1. They don't know what they're talking about. They just don't. So that's the problem. And Gamecock fans, you missed your opportunity. South Carolina is not smart enough to hire Landon Powell. They're not. They're
Don't
not.
make the mistake again. Please do not make that mistake.
They're going to. they're going to live in this land of, hey, we just think we know what. I mean, I'm telling you, I'll bet money next time it comes open, when Paul Maneri gets fired, they will not hire Landon Powell. They're too stupid to do so.
I know what the logic is going to be. It's going to be, well, we telegraphed that we wanted Landon to go get high major experience, or we wanted him to get, mid-major experience. We wanted him to go get a job at a Sun Belt school or a Conference USA or whatever. We wanted him to do that. We telegraphed it. We told him that's what we wanted to do, and he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't leave North Greenville for that opportunity, and for that reason, Landon's scared. Landon knew he couldn't do it at this level, so he didn't stop. That's going to be the logic. I know how people are going to react.
Well, again, I just don't see it happen. I think they missed their opportunity. And again, I know things could happen, and I could be wrong. But again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. With South Carolina, they're just too dumb. They're too stupid to hire. It just makes too much sense. It would be the smart hire, the right hire, but they're too. The guy who hadn't been coaching. And you remember how many people told us they hired Paul in here? I think outside the box. It's a really good hire outside the box. Well, that's that outside the box. He can't find his way back in the box. That's the problem.
So, Cole, NFL free agency is now about an hour and a half old, as things are now allowed to be official. We haven't seen any more Max Crosby-esque situations where teams have decided, no, we actually, after kicking the tires, we don't actually like this player. A lot of the rumors and trades that we've been hearing about are going through. Travis Etienne is going to the Saints. Tua is going to the Falcons. Here's a new one, Cole. Jake Browning, quarterback, has signed a one-year deal with the Buccaneers. He's been backing up Joe Burrow in Cincinnati for the last couple of years. He's now going to move down to Tampa and back up Baker Mayfield. Hey, pay me the money to hang out in Tampa instead of Cincinnati, Ohio. Please, I would rather stand on the sidelines in beautiful sunny weather near the Gulf than be spending my days in Cincinnati, Ohio, freezing my nads off.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. Especially what's the night pay? I thought pretty good. I'm sure. Yeah.
No, I mean backup quarterback. Let me see if I can find out how much he's actually going to take.
Who wants to live in Cincinnati? I mean, to your point, you're right. Destination does matter. Where you live matters. So, Jake Browning. I mean, I don't know that he's ever going to see this. Is he going to see the field?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Oddly enough, this one-year deal, the dollar figure has not been announced yet. So we don't know how much money he's going to make for his 1 year in Tampa. But, hey, we know that he's going down there to get some beautiful sunshine instead. Obviously, the big news of the day was what some people are calling a very duplicitous deal for the Ravens to back out on Max Crosby after the Ravens team doctor looked him over and said, I don't know about that knee, my friend. We don't like this deal. We're going to back out. Now, it is absolutely 100% the Ravens' right to do so. That's what team physicals are for. If you don't like the results of the physical, you say, no, before this thing goes official, we are just going to walk away from the deal. So their 2 first-round picks staying in Baltimore. Max Crosby now officially back with the Raiders, though we still assume that he's going to get moved to somebody, maybe the Bears, maybe the Cowboys. Maybe he says, you know what, I'll sign a deal for a year and stay here in Las Vegas. Don't know.
He's got to. Listen, it's a $30 million cap hit on the books of the Raiders. I mean, there's no way. They just signed all these guys,
but they got a lot of money, though.
I know, but they signed all these other free agents, and I just don't know how. I just don't see a world. Now, I think it drags out. I think it goes up into the NFL draft there. But I just don't see a world in which he comes back to the Raiders. They've got to get a suitor. And I think there's a suitor out there.
Imagine Max Crosby being paired with an actual draft pick and being traded on draft day. Now,
Oh my
God. More duplicitous move. The Ravens backing
Ricky
out
Greer,
on
okay,
Crosby
yeah. Thank you,
or
Paul.
Lane
Please hold a
Kiffin.
little minute. Please hold.
Ooh.
Yeah. Huh?
Ravens backing out on
If you
that.
think about it from the perspective of that promo we're running with Kev, he's like, just tell him, hey, baby, hang on a minute.
Well, I
down
think I would go. I think the answer would be Lane because, like with the Ravens, there's a little bit of reason. The reason I think matters with the physical that he didn't have, right? That matters. But now, I would answer that question by saying Lane because of the physical that he failed. But I still can't wrap my mind around, and you and I talked about this in the first segment of the show, I still can't write my mind around even the fact that physicals in the NFL are subjective. Why, like, this is the NFL. You're telling me one doctor says, he's good, but the other doctor can say, no, that's physical. How does that happen in the National Football League?
It's the Ravens doctor. That's the one that they have to trust. I mean, the Ravens would be doing a horrible job if they just trusted the opinion of the team doctor for the Las Vegas Raiders, or if they trusted Max Crosby, like, hey man, we'll just take your word for it. It's all going to be okay. That's not how things operate, right?
It's just mind-boggling that there's not black and white. Like, you would think that in the NFL there's some sort of, because like somebody's going to sign him. Somebody's going to sign him. It's going to happen.
It's going to be a good player wherever he goes.
And yeah, the physical, him failing the physical with his doctor, or not his doctor, but the Ravens doctor, to your point, yeah, that worried them enough to back out. But the fact that somebody's going to sign him shows you that somebody out there, their doctor is going to pass him on the physical. So there's going to be a doctor out there that hey, whether they're told by the team or however that happens, the conversation is, hey, we got to pass him.
They can pass him, or they can say, ultimately, it's worth the risk.
It's worth the risk.
Yeah. Let's go to the phone line. Just bring in Rick in Greer. Rick, welcome to the show. First of all, why are we talking to you on the phone and not in person? Because we are out at an INGLES location, and you are not here, Rick.
First of all, I had to work today. I'm sorry. They called me in. We didn't have enough drivers to come to today, so I had to drive it home.
You got a 4-hour window, Rick. There's not that many pizzas being ordered.
Second of all, I just got a statement in from the Carolina Panthers, and they're wanting to charge me $1,400 per season ticket. And I'm sick of that, okay? It was $1,200 last year.
Yep.
Did they go up?
Yeah. They did go up. We had that on our Daily Wires yesterday. The Carolina Panthers went up 12% on average across the board for all season tickets at Bank of America Stadium. So how much, Rick, if you don't mind us asking, tell us those numbers again. What did you pay last year for your season tickets?
I paid $1,202 last year.
But you got lower bowl tickets. You got good seats.
I got lower bowl tickets.
Okay. So it went
and
up
40 yard line. And this year it was 1436. So add that up, $200 more.
They're a playoff team now.
Not worth it. It ain't worth $100. Okay.
Buying them, Rick?
Just spend the money, Rick.
Why didn't they go get a quarterback? Why didn't they get Max Crosby? Why didn't they? Oh my God, I could go on and on.
They did good, though.
I don't think
they did good. They really did good.
Yeah.
Did they do good?
They got a good edge rusher from Philadelphia.
Yep. I think they did good. We'll see, though, Rick. Thanks for the call, Rick.
Hey, Rick, can I give you $500 for your tickets this year? Whole season?
Yeah, you can.
Whole season, $500.
Whole season, $500.
Yeah.
You want both of them? $1,000?
I'm gonna have to check the authenticity of those tickets whenever we do the exchange. Appreciate the phone call.
Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Real quick before we run the break, a couple of texts came in on that South Carolina subject. Texter from the 431 gets in on the Toy Law Firm text line and says, I know it's because it's fresh that you guys have really been getting at Carolina now, but you can't tell me there haven't been bad losses to Clemson too. Look, the difference is last night's bad loss to Clemson, the Georgia Southern texter. I understand where you're coming from, but the difference is Clemson's still going to be a good baseball team. South Carolina's not going to be a good baseball team. Could Clemson flop? Yeah, they can flop, but they're still a good baseball team. South Carolina's not. Also, CRGJ gets in, and he says, just like on the football side for Clemson, Carolina can say 2 national championships, 2 runners-up. Where is that Clemson baseball trophy? Taking some shots at Clemson. It's CRGJ.
Well, is that CRGJ? Is that how you want the show to operate? To talk bad about South Carolina when it's legitimate and when it's warranted? we have to talk bad about Clemson too? I mean,
Well, if they're bad.
come on, man. You got to grow up a little bit if that's how you feel about it.
Well, I'm not going to go that far, but I will say.
Well, I will.
I ain't going to tell him. Oh, it might be 6-6 and beat us up.
That's fine. But still, I mean, when there used to be a law, Cole, that when there was an election going on the air, you had to give equal time to candidates from both parties.
Yeah.
That was the law. There's no law like that in sports radio. We go after the hot button topics that are important that people want to talk about.
Well,
Clemson is 16-2 right now. And I'm not defending Clemson. Okay, I'm just saying the story is with South Carolina. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to divide the time and talk trash about the Clemson baseball team that is 16-2 just to get your permission to talk bad about South Carolina when they suck.
And again, to be fair, if they are bad, just like the football team was bad the past couple of years, we talk about it. And we, if you've listened to this show long enough, you know how hard I've gone at Clemson football the past couple of years. So appreciate you listening to CRGJ, but Clemson's a good baseball team. South Carolina's not. That, as of right now, that's the fact. So Jay Tez gets in and says, I think we've learned our lesson. Texas 344 gets in and says, we won't hire Landon for the exact thing you just said, Cole. It's the right move and the right hire. We never do what makes the most sense. And Dexter, you're exactly right.
Got to go get that Tennessee assistant.
That's the reason I don't think they have. That's the reason I don't have any confidence in hiring Landon. You just look at what they've done over the past. And this is I'm not trying to bag on Carolina, but the hires have been horrible the past decade. They've been horrible. And Shane Beamer has a chance to, prove me wrong a little bit. But South Carolina has made bad hires over the past decade. And a lot of that was Ray Tanner. I get that. But guess what? Jeremiah Donati's now signing those checks just like Ray Tanner was. And then eventually enough's enough. So we'll see. Let's get to some scores happening. College basketball, rocking and rolling, tournament time in conference championship. There's some big games tonight. We'll dive into it next.
Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Horrible watch. I tried. Basketball in this segment. And that game I was talking about, by the way, the Iowa State, Arizona State, Big 12 coming 91-42. My God. How was that even a watchable basketball game? Before we get into that, Diesel and the game happening tonight, let's go to the phone line real quick. 844 fan phone. Jake Dez at Spartanburg wants to weigh in. What's up, Jake Dez?
Good afternoon, fellas. Good show. I just want to respond to that last text you got where the guy said, well, we got the national championships, blah, 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 South Carolina. You know, I'm 62 years old, and I've been a Gamecock fan for probably 50 of those years. And I used to hate it when Clemson fans would throw up, well, we've got 2 national championships or 3 national championships when we beat them in football. And, you know, I just feel like I don't get bothered by it as much as I used to. Right. I don't let it ruin my weekend and stuff, but I think that's just not the way to go. Those championships were 15 and 16 years ago. Ray Tanner, I wish he'd have just stayed the head coach, because once he left, it never has reclaimed that spot. And I have to give you credit, Cole. I know you're a Clemson fan, but you call balls and strikes, pun intended. And there used to be a guy named Mark that was on this station several years ago, claimed he was neutral. He was a Florida fan, blah, blah, blah. But he turned into a Clemson homer. And it was annoying to listen to him, but I got to give you credit. You and Diesel both. You guys call balls and strikes. You call it like you see it, either 4 against Clemson and 4 against Carolina. So I just want to tip my hat to you.
You know, Jake says you can, as a Gamecock fan, you should absolutely be proud of those national championships, but it's irrelevant to a current season conversation. That's how I feel about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jake Dez,
and I say, Manier, you're fired.
That's a good mic drop there. I love it. My favorite thing, and by the way, Jake, thanks for the call. Thanks for the kind words. You're the absolute best. Appreciate you, and appreciate all of you listeners. We had a lot of really good interactions today, but the reality of it is South Carolina, like legacies and what happened in the past in this new era, it just doesn't impact anything anymore. And, you know, like, yeah, South Carolina had some really good years in baseball, but before that, they were horrible. And after that, they've been horrible. So they had a really good run under Ray Tanner. And like you said, Diesel, you could give them credit for that, because they were really, really good under Ray Tanner. They were the best team since sliced bread, but it just doesn't impact anything. Like, none of that stuff that those championships they won, the kids don't care. I think they want to get paid, Diesel. They care about the money and playing time. They don't care about championships in 10 plus years.
I think the truth is the national championship truly matters just about as long as you can still use it in recruits.
Nobody cares about that anymore.
Right.
Right.
So
the
length of time that it still matters is extremely short.
Yeah, I think fans care. That's about it.
If it's still the same head coach, and you can still walk into somebody's living room and say, "Hey, I won a national title 2 years ago. Come play for me," then it's still relevant. Outside of that, fans can chirp about it all they want to, but it's truly meaningless after about 2 years.
And again, Jake, really do appreciate this phone call, and all of you Tolos out there listening that have interacted today. We've had probably more interaction today on the stream and the phone line we've had a long time. Had a lot of Tolos come by. Also, Hurricane Jeff got himself a $25 gift card. Yeah. So shout out to him. But we appreciate you, and we couldn't do it without you. So keep on Tolo and turn it on and leave it on.
Cole, on the other side of the break, we'll catch up a little bit with those scores.
Yeah.
Since
we
didn't get a chance to get to it here at this segment. And we're also going to go back into the conversation about Bam Adebayo and his 83 points. We'll come back to that conversation next.
Clear.
All right.
with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
On the Fan Upstate.
Yesterday, Cole Ford teams punched their tickets into the NCAA March Madness tournament. Gonzaga won the WCC. Siena won the Metro Atlantic. Wright State won the Horizon. Hofstra won the Coastal, formerly known as the Colonial. Just broke five teams. And Long Island won the Northeast. So there's 5 teams right there that are going to be playing in the Big Dance. 2 conference championship games today. Big Sky, Montana versus Idaho, and the Patriot League, Boston University versus Lehigh. So we'll get 2 more names on the board for the NCAA March Madness tournament by the end of the day. Today we're going to check in on some of the ACC, Big 12, Big 10, Big East, and other conference tournaments going on, Cole. But we started the show with this. Let me comment on that Gonzaga real quick before we get back to this NBA. Has any other team ever won the West Coast Conference? I'm never being serious. I mean, it's like every year. Look at this. 2026, Gonzaga. 25, Gonzaga. 2024, St. Mary's. Yep. But before that, listen, 23, Gonzaga. 22, Gonzaga. 21, Gonzaga. 20, Gonzaga. Yep. St. Mary's. Diesel, they have won this thing 25 plus times. I mean, it's ridiculous how many times. Oh, here you go. Here's another 23 tournament title win. Think of it like this, Cole. Gonzaga has figured out that the West Coast Conference is their best and easiest path into the NCAA tournament. Oh, my God. You could say, Gonzaga, why don't you guys step up, man? Why don't you join a better conference? Yeah. Why don't you join the new Pac-12? Why don't you join, the Big Sky? Why don't you join this conference, that conference? I'm like, why? If we join that conference, we're going to have a harder time getting into the NCAA tournament. 23 tournament titles, including last night, 28 regular season titles, with all tournament. Listen to this. All of those tournament wins have come since 1995. That's only 31 years. It certainly helps not having football. You can invest every dollar into basketball. But they give somebody else a chance. Listen, here's even better one for you. They've appeared in every WCC tournament since 1998. Oh, my God. I'm telling you, the women's team, 11 WCC tournament titles. I mean, it is unbelievable, the dominance. And I don't know a lot about the WCC in terms of the stats, but my God, give somebody else a chance in this conference. Gonzaga's just they're elite right. All right, Cole, you already know 2 of them because you said the names of the 2 teams that have won, Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Can you name? There are, let me count here. There are 11 schools in the WCC, 9 if you exclude Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Can you name 2 more schools that are in the West? No. Can you name 1 more? And you look like those are 2 obviously marquee names. Like St. Mary's had a good program, right? You can take a guess, and I know now that if you happen to get this right, it's going to be purely a guess. Is there any Saints? Is there any other Saints in the WCC? I don't know the mascot. No. I mean, I'm sorry, not Saints, like ST, like St. Peter, like St. Mary's. There's one, but it's Spanish. It's Spanish. Yeah. Saint. No, I have no idea. How would you say Saint in Spanish? I don't know. I have no idea. That's what I'm saying. The WCC. Who knows, man? Clara. Oh, okay. That's, you know what? You hear their name every now and then, right? Santa Clara. Who else? Let's see. Grand Canyon. Oh, yeah. Loyola Marymount. Okay. Didn't know Loyola. They've had success recently, right? Cinderella. Pacific University. Never heard of, which sounds fake. Yeah. Pepperdine. Have not heard of them. Yeah. University of Portland. Okay. Or University of San Diego. Not UC San Diego, just San Diego. Let's see. San Francisco and Seattle. Okay. There you go. Well, they need to step up their NIL fund. I mean, Gonzaga dominant, crush it, right? Hey, it's like for years what people have been saying. Why would Clemson ever leave the ACC? Because they got a clear path to win the thing. Used to. Things have changed. And so why would they even ever think about leaving the ACC? They can get into the college football playoff really easily. Why would you ever change it? For Gonzaga, it's the same thing. Why would you ever change it? These are real quick. We got to get to this tag. Maybe the text of the day, maybe the text of 2026.
Oh, no.
I mean, you think could this be text of the year?
Could be.
We're gonna have to start putting these texts up for text of the day.
We need to blow this up and put it in the studio.
Yeah, I mean, text of the month. This might be text of the year. This could even be text of the show, wire to wire. Like, this is that good of a text. Jeff R. gets it. 844-326-3663. Jeff R. gets it and says, my 9-year-old son runs around to everybody just yelling, you're fired, in the Dewey voice when he is hanging out with his friends, ... WTF. Is that the text of the year or what? Dewey is corrupting. He is literally corrupting Tolo's children. Can you imagine that? Running around and hearing that? I love it.
We're so sorry.
I love
We're
it, Jeff.
so sorry,
Yeah,
Jeff.
we apologize, but that is, I don't know what to say about that. Maybe the text speaker.
Let's see. Oh, thank you, Rob Jones. Listening to the show has corrected me. I had heard this, but I completely forgot. I completely forgot that this is happening. He goes, Gonzaga are joining the Pac-12 next year. That's been talked about a lot during the tournament. Apologies, I haven't been watching the WCC tournament. Other times the West Coast Conference include, off the top of my head, can't tell other teams. So he knows more about the
past Rob
WCC.
Jones.
He knows.
Not get past Rob.
So apologies, Rob, and to our Gonzaga constituency.
Rob,
I forgot.
he's just that wealth of knowledge he has.
He's all over, man.
He's got the wealth of knowledge up there. He really does. He does.
So, Cole, we started the show talking about Bam Adebayo's 83-point outburst last night for the Heat against the Wizards. We talked about the Wizards being god-awful at defense this year. They're just not a good team. Go back, though, but you look at it and look at historically great offensive performances, they always come against really terrible defense. Doesn't make it less impressive the fact that it happened against terrible defense, but it happened. He had 43 free throw attempts, hit 38 of them. Bam Adebayo could not miss when they were not guarding him last night. But people all over the internet and all over sports talk shows and all over America today have been poo-pooing this 83-point outburst. And that is now second all-time to Wilt Chamberlain's 100. He beat Kobe by 2 points, Cole. Is it fair? Is it fair for punditry, guys that do what we do, to be talking trash about this 83 points?
Is it fair? 83 points, Diesel, is very impressive. It is. It's not pushing 100 points. Or that.
Shots tonight, Phillips doesn't make it. Here's the thing, Paul. I think most of the students get out of his way. Next to the his season average. That's incredible. I mean, he was clearly feeling it last night. I'm not trying to tell you that it was better or worse than Kobe. That's not what I'm trying to say. No. I'm just trying to say that you shouldn't downgrade great performances when we have it, because that's not what America's all about. America is about celebrating phenomenal performances. I agree with that. I think it deserves to be celebrated. Now, obviously, you're calling into question some of the defense played in this game. Yes, the Wizards defense got awful, 28th out of 30 in the league. You go back to that 06 Toronto Raptors team that Kobe put up 81 points on. That 06 Toronto Raptors team was historically bad on defense as well. Bottom 5 in the league that year. So let's, again, apples to apples, bad defense to bad defense. without going back and like really parsing all of the individual statistics, right? They were both playing crappy defense in both of those games. Kobe was feeling it from the field. He was phenomenal that night in 06. And Bam was feeling it from the line last night.
It feels like in these situations, the team, like, and again, you go back and watch the highlights and you tell me, it feels like, and I'm giving them credit to your point. Yes, it should be celebrated, but sometimes when you go back and watch these, it feels like players are unintentionally getting rebounds, intentionally missing shots. It just feels weird sometimes down the stretch, especially. You got to give credit. Now, on the Joy Law Firm text line, Keith PR says 83 points, incredible, but 88 combined free throws in the game had to be a horrible game to watch. No doubt about that, right?
How long did that game take? Like 5 hours?
Seriously. Now, Logan gets in. Logan says, guys, come on, don't be hating. He still made up to 20 shots, a little less than 50%, but give my man his props. And Logan, I know it's probably me that sounds like I'm hating a little bit, but again, I do give him props, 100%. If you and I, though, Logan, sat down and watched every play, I think you would understand what I'm saying. I give him props. I think it's spectacular. I think it's up there in terms of the all-time individual grading, the great performances. We talked about that in the first segment, Diesel. Wilton had 100, right?
Yeah.
Campbell had 100 points. And I do think Bam Adebayo, what he did last night, I think it's up there in the top 5, top 6 best ever individual performances. So he was never in that conversation. So I'm giving him a ton of credit. I just think if any sports fan sat down and we watched the highlights, you'd say, yeah, there was nobody on them. And sometimes when you're 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and there's no defense, you get paid to make these baskets. You're going to make a lot of these plays.
Well, Bam, like I said, averages 20 points a night. He made 20 field goals in that game. So that right there is minimum 40 points right there. He would have had a career night, an amazing night had it just been, not an 83-point outburst. But he also, Cole, averages making just 3.5 free throws a night.
Yeah.
He made 36. 36.
Real quick, let's go to the phone line. 844-326-3663. The one, the only, the Daily Dewey. We've had texters and people on the screen talking about how bad of an influence Dewey is, and we're letting them on the air one more time. What's up, Dewey?
Oh, I'm not a bad influence. I got kids that want to be like me. And I can charge for saying be fired. That's my trademark from now on.
Dewey, how old were you when Be Like Mike was the advertising tagline? Like Wheaties and all kinds of other. Do you remember how old you were when people sang, I want to be like Mike?
That was a long time ago. Probably 10 years old.
Okay. I thought you were 62 years old, Dewey.
I am. Michael Jordan was alive 50 years ago.
It was 50 years ago. Be Like Mike campaign was 50 years ago.
Yeah. Because there's other people named Mike then, too.
What else do you have, Dewey? Let's get it out. Let's go.
Anyways, tonight Clemson plays. I'll tell you what, they're going to get trounced tonight. Be one and done because it's a 9:30 game. They're not going to have it together. They're going to be sleeping. It's past their bedtime. The Bradbury now team's going to go down, and they're going to miss the tournament.
Ooh, your voice cracked.
And then the Citadel. How can you lose to the Citadel? They don't even know how to play baseball. Oh.
Thank you.
Good call, dude.
Yeah.
That was good.
Good to strong. Let's continue the Gamecock conversation. Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News next right here on the Pen Up Stick.
State.
Louisville finishes the rubber match against SMU Cole and advances into the ACC Kids Tournament. Louisville, an SMU two really good basketball team could probably have the ability to make a run in this tournament. The SMU season is done. Final score 62-58 in that ball game. Back healthy, baby. Yeah. Let's see, the final from earlier today, NC State put up 98 points on Pitt, beat them 98-88. Still 2 games to go in about 10 minutes, 12 minutes or so. Florida State Cal will tip off. I know that Melissa Level obviously had to get home quickly. That might be a good game, though. I mean, it could be. I mean, what's the spread? Florida State favorite, I guess. 2.5. Yeah, Florida State favorite, 2.5. Both these were okay teams this year. Cal 21-10. Yeah. Florida State 17-14. The difference is 1 game in the ACC where those 2 finished. And obviously Wake Forest, Clemson at 9:30 tonight. That's going to be the big one that we're all going to be paying attention to or catching the replay in the morning. Yeah, 9:30 starts. Obviously a little rough there, but Clemson favored by 5.5. You know, I think that's a good line. Somebody was asking me earlier today about Clemson. The way they've played lately, I think them ending the season with a win. I know that Georgia Tech game, things kind of got hairy. But I do think the win does a lot for confidence, Diesel, and the fact that they were able to close out Georgia Tech, I think that's big. I still have, here's where I am on Clemson. I still have a little bit of faith and belief that this team can be good in the postseason. I'm not saying they're going to go win 2 or 3 tournament games, but they did win 30 plus. How many games? They won 22. How many games they win, Hill? 22 games. 22 games. So they won 22 games this year, right? So it takes a good team to win 22 games. And they didn't win them by, like, surprise. They didn't just all of a sudden walk their way into wins. There's talent there. They played defensively a lot better earlier in the year, Diesel, than they did down the stretch. And then offensively, their bench, if you remember first part of the year, their bench was just on fire. They got a lot of big production and not so much as of late. But I've not given up hope quite yet on Clemson. I think they win tonight. I think they beat Wake Forest. And I also think they still could possibly win a game when it comes to March Madness. Wake beat them by 9. In Winston-Salem just a couple of days ago, Cole, during that weird skid. Hey, maybe just a little reset is the best thing for Clemson. Cole, you're still a single guy, and I'm sure you're out there, playing the field, going on dates. Here, I'm going to give you a little dating advice, if I may. Can't wait to close out the show. This comes from your beloved TikTok. I know you love TikTok. I know you're on it all the time. So this is information you need to know. Okay. This is a trend. This is not a one-off video. This is a trend of women who say that when they go on pizza dates with guys that they're dating, if they see you get meat on your pizza, that is a red flag. Red flag. So sorry, Cole, no meat. And I know you're eating healthier these days, so you're probably not asking a girl out on a pizza date. But if you do, you better get you a tofu pizza. Well, 2 things on that. Number one, you called me weird on this before because my go-to pizza is actually mushroom and onion. So I don't order meat. Actually, look at you. I'm a meat, I do like it, though. See, I'm a meat
I'll eat it.
I like it, but I'm a mushroom and onion guy first. And then number 2, why is that? Well, what is the red flag? So the particular video that I watched, again, this is a trend, it's not a single video. They say that eating meat pizza somehow reflects on how you treat women. Okay, by eating meat, it means you treat women badly, I guess. Well, see, this is why the internet's gotten just so awful, because people are allowed to have opinions on anything, right? Yeah. And there are people who get on TikTok and make these kind of videos. Look, a first date, you're not eating pizza, so like you don't go on a first date and go to a pizza place. That's not a first date kind of thing. Well, it depends on the date. If she's a casual kind of lady, you take her. Well, okay, take her there. Okay, if it's a casual date, like if you guys are going, let's say, a couple of places or whatever, and you go stop for pizza, that's one thing. But if you let's say, pick a girl up, take her on a date, you don't say, hey, you want to go to the pizza place in the restaurant? What if it's a nice pizza? What if it's a nice? I still don't think it. I don't know. I don't think you go pizza on the first date. So they say it reflects on how you treat women, that it's selfish because you're eating animals. And number 2, because it reflects poorly, says that you have toxic masculinity. So, don't do it. Every woman out there. I'm just kidding. I don't say that, but no. I mean it's the internet for you. I'm just saying that's what they're saying. And look, that's the place where young people are. I'm not young enough to be on TikTok anymore, but
that's where they are. So you better pay attention to the ladies that are telling you that it's a bad idea to get.
Well, let me tell you this. I'm biting my tongue a lot. The ladies that are saying those things, not interested in them.
What's a bigger red flag? Getting some pepperoni on your pizza, or a woman telling you that you're a piece of garbage because you got pepperoni on your pizza?
Now you've hit the nail on the head. Now you've hit the nail on the
Coming
head.
full circle.
That is more like it. Tolos, a really great show today. Appreciate all of you for being a part of it. Also, shout out to Hurricane Jeff for getting that $25 Ingles gift card. Want to say thanks to Ingles for their sponsorship. Also, thanks to Melissa Level for coming by earlier today. She is always a freaking blast, and we so much appreciate Melissa and her team and all that they do for us at the Fan Upstate. Appreciate all of you Tolos as well who have turned it on and left it on today. We will be back tomorrow, Diesel, 3 to 7.
Yeah, good news for you. Dewey says his mistress thinks you're cute and would go on a date.
No, thanks, Dewey. No, thanks. I'll take a hard pass.
You know, now that I think about it, I don't think I could date a vegetarian. Not the fact that she doesn't eat meat.
Okay, all right.
You know, she'd be annoying as hell.
Rated R. Oh, got it. Never mind. I thought you were going to get it right. Wow. All right, Thursday, Wire to Wire tomorrow. We'll see you then.